Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes master of time-space jutsu part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Dog walked into the Hokage's office an hour past the time of his appointment. However, the Hokage merely smiled and waved him to a chair as he finished the last piece of paperwork in front of him. As Dog sat, he took in his surroundings, noting the two ANBU on guard, and the aide that was standing next to the Hokage's desk, waiting patiently to carry the paperwork away. That will be all for now, the Hokage said, sighing and putting the scroll on top of a stack over a foot tall. Rabbit and Boar, you two may go as well. Come back in half an hour or so. The aide scurried out and the two ANBU guards followed after giving a sharp salute. Behind his own mask, Dog raised an eyebrow in surprise, but said nothing. As the door closed, the Hokage sighed again. Remove your mask please, Sarutobi said. I'd rather have this conversation with Kakashi, not Dog. Yes sir, Kakashi said, removing his ANBU mask and tucking it into his pouch. His white hair hung haphazardly over his face, covering part of the scar that ran down the left side of his face. He closed his left eye out of habit and then gave the Hokage an inquisitive look with his remaining eye. I have two things we need to discuss, so I will start with the easier of the two, Sarutobi said, giving him a small smile. I want you to take over as head of ANBU. As you are aware, ANBU traditionally reports directly to the Hokage. However, I am concerned about the actions of Danzo's root division and about the loyalties of some of the other ANBU members. I want you to restructure its members and eliminate any threats. I trust you to use your best judgment on how to handle each situation. HNN, Kakashi said as he tilted his head in thought. I will not order you to do this, Sarutobi added. However, you are my first choice for the job, so I hope you will accept. Hi, I'll do it, Kakashi replied nonchalantly. Any particular way you'd like it restructured? I want those who you trust reporting directly to you until it is finished. I will not be able to speak to you much about it, given the nature of the mission. But for now you will go back to being Hatake Kakashi, and Dog will be permanently on a mission elsewhere, Sarutobi said. Alright, good, now for my second request. Again, I will not order you to do this, but I hope you will consider what I am asking you to do, Sarutobi began, and Kakashi's ears pricked a little at the hesitation in the Hokage's voice. I am searching for a guardian for Uzumaki Naruto. I realize you are quite young yourself, but the boy needs someone to look after him. Someone that will hopefully spend more time making sure he is safe instead of allowing harm to come to him. Now Kakashi understood, and he merely stared at the Hokage as he thought over what he knew of the boy. The Kyuubi was sealed within him, and he had no living family. As far as Kakashi knew, he was fostered with some villager or another. The few times Kakashi had seen the boy, he had been wandering about the village by himself. The Hokage ignored his blank stare and continued on. He is your sensei's son, so I had hoped maybe you would be able to look past the monster sealed inside him to see the Yandame's legacy. Why? Kakashi couldn't help but ask. As I said, he is Minato's son, and whoever looks after him needs to be strong enough to protect him. He has already been hospitalized at least 3 times in the last 6 months from various attacks on him by the villagers. If it isn't stopped now, the next time he may not get off with just a collection of bruises and a broken bone, Sarutobi said sadly. He considered it his greatest failure that he had been unable to do as the Yandame has wished. Instead of the villagers seeing Naruto as a hero, they saw him as the scum of the earth, not worth their protection or aid. In fact, many actively sought to harm the small child. He is 4 years old and mostly keeps to himself, so you should not find him too difficult to care for. Hokage-sama, I don't know how to be a father, Kakashi said with a grimace. I didn't exactly have a sterling example myself. I understand that you feel unprepared, however all new parents feel that way. And you must realize that Naruto is not an ordinary child, so anything you might have known would probably be useless anyway, Sarutobi said with a laugh before his face sobered up again. There is also the chance that you will truly be more of a guardian than a parent. What's the difference? Kakashi couldn't help but ask. Naruto doesn't trust most adults, so he is unlikely to call you father or automatically accept you as family, even if that was what you wanted. If you define your relationship with him as merely the person who provides food and shelter, he may merely accept that as the status quo and not seek any further contact with you, the Hokage explained, his shoulders falling under the weight of his self-accepted guilt. He is very lonely, Kakashi, and things will only become more difficult as he gets older. I understand, Kakashi said softly after another minute. I'll take him in, though I still don't think I'm the best choice. Thank you, Kakashi. Kakashi nodded in response and stood, pulling his mask out and sliding it back on. I'll see to the paperwork, and you can pick him up from the hospital tomorrow after you move into your new home. Kakashi nodded again and slipped out the window as Rabbit and Boar returned, the time limit up. The Hokage hadn't lied when he said everything would be taken care of. Or at least mostly hadn't lied. I'm pretty sure he said something about an apartment, Kakashi muttered to himself as he finished moving everything into what was definitely a house. It was a small place, on the outskirts of the village, with 2 stories and a yard that extended to a small wooded area that led to the training grounds. Inside the house on the upper story were 2 smaller bedrooms, a shared bathroom, and then a master bedroom with a bathroom attached. On the lower floor there was a fairly spacious living room and a large joint kitchen/dining room, both of which branched off from a central hallway, with another bathroom at the end. When Kakashi had arrived, he had found the majority of the rooms already furnished, at least with the larger furniture, and the kitchen was fully stocked. Kakashi set about putting his things away, and changed out of his ANBU uniform into more casual clothes. Then he headed to the memorial stone for his morning ritual. When Kakashi arrived at the hospital 2 hours later, he found the boy waiting with Sarutobi. The Sandame's eyes were tight and Kakashi could sense the barely suppressed anger. Given that Kakashi was only 5 or 10 minutes late, he doubted the Hokage was angry with him. Looking over the boy, he saw patches of bruises on most of his skin, all of varying ages. His left arm was in a sling, and he kept his eyes on the floor, not even looking up once. "Yo, Kakashi-san," the Hokage said with a nod. Then he took a deliberately slow breath and let it out, turning to the small boy and kneeling down. "Naruto-kun, this is Kakashi Hatake. He's going to be taking care of you starting today." Sarutobi's voice was soft and gentle, any trace of anger gone from his voice. Naruto looked up slowly at the new arrival and inspected him with guarded eyes. He couldn't keep his eyes from widening slightly when he saw that his new caretaker wore a mask over the lower half of his face, and a forehead protector covered his left eye, leaving only a fraction of his face visible. He also had stark white hair that fell in a mess to the left. "You're a ninja," Naruto said as his eyes drifted back to the protector. "I am," Kakashi said, squatting down in front of him. "If you like, I could teach you how to be one as well." Kakashi wasn't sure what had prompted him to offer such a thing, but the small blonde's eyes lit up, so it seemed to have been the right thing to do. "Really? Really?" Naruto's face broke into a grin, and Kakashi could almost see the energy radiating off of him. However, it faded quickly when he moved his injured arm, and pain laced his features. Kakashi almost instinctually reached out and ruffled Naruto's hair in sympathy. "Come on, you need to rest for now," Kakashi said as he stood. "There's a few papers you will need to sign first," Sarutobi told him, a small smile on his face. "Naruto can wait here while we take care of it." Kakashi nodded and followed the Hokage to a small office, where a nurse handed them a stack of discharge papers. With a sigh, Kakashi found a pen and started reading through them while the Hokage looked on. "Did something happen earlier?" Kakashi asked casually, his voice soft. "They weren't tending his wounds properly. The nurse who had charge of him yesterday took good care of him, but the day's shift for today decided that he didn't deserve to be treated as a patient," Sarutobi replied, his mouth tightening in disgust. Kakashi felt his face do the same, and he made a note to never leave Naruto with the meanings alone. He finished the paperwork and they walked back out to find Naruto standing against the wall, looking down dejectedly. "What's this? You were so excited a moment ago," Kakashi said, keeping his tone light. "Won't it be bad if you take a monster home with you?" Naruto asked softly, refusing to look Kakashi in the eye. Sarutobi started forward, and then stopped himself, watching Kakashi carefully. "Ma, I suppose taking a monster home would be bad," he said seriously as he squatted down in front of the boy again. "But I don't see a monster anywhere, so it won't be a problem." "But, Naruto-kun, do you not want to come with me?" Kakashi asked. "I want to," Naruto replied instantly. "You said you'd teach me to be a ninja, then no buts." "If I say it's fine, then it's fine," Kakashi told him, voice matter-of-fact. "Hi." Kakashi nodded to the Hokage as he stood up, and then waved at Naruto to follow. Naruto ran after him, only stopping long enough to wave goodbye to Sarutobi, before he fell in alongside Kakashi. It took them 15 minutes of walking to reach their new house, and the entire time Naruto stayed glued to Kakashi's side. He was never more than a foot away and Kakashi couldn't tell if it was from happiness or nervousness. "Here we are," Kakashi said as he walked up to the door. "This is our house." "We have the whole house?" Naruto asked, awed. "Yep. Hokage-sama chose it for us," Kakashi told him as they walked in, and Naruto's eyes got even wider. "It's so big." "This is only the hallway," Kakashi pointed out dryly, showing him around the bottom floor, and then the top. "You can pick which room you want from these two," Kakashi told him, leaning up against the wall as Naruto looked in both. "I want this one," the child told him excitedly, picking the one that looked out over the backyard. "Alright, we'll get your stuff moved in when it's delivered. My room is at the end of the hall. The only rule is don't go in there without my permission," Kakashi told him as they headed back downstairs. "Hi, I suppose I should get him something to eat. That arm looks like it's hurting him too, so I should get him some more medicine." Kakashi tried to think of what else he was supposed to do, but nothing came to mind, so he headed into the kitchen. Naruto trailed behind the older ninja, unsure of what he should do. When Kakashi started pulling out pots and food from the fridge, the child settled himself at the kitchen table. "Naruto-kun? Yes? What kind of food do you like?" "Ramen." "Other than ramen," Kakashi said with a sigh. I don't know." Kakashi sighed again and gave up, fixing grilled chicken with a mix of vegetables. Naruto scrunched his face when he saw the pile of multicolored veggies, and Kakashi frowned. Then an idea struck him. "Naruto, if you want to be a ninja, you need to eat healthily like one. Ninjas need lots of energy and a strong body," Kakashi told him. Reluctantly the boy nodded and started working on eating all of the hateful greens. This might not be so bad after all, Kakashi couldn't help but think as he pulled his mask down and started eating his own food. Naruto glanced up curiously as Kakashi removed his mask, but soon resumed eating. While Kakashi did have a long scar down the side of his face, there was nothing else special to note, and his stomach was reminding him he hadn't had breakfast. A ninja brought Naruto's things over shortly after they had finished lunch, and a second one delivered a message for Kakashi from the Hokage. After reading the scroll, Kakashi helped Naruto to arrange his room how he wanted it, and then gave the boy another dose of painkillers, tucking him into the freshly made bed. As Kakashi went to leave, Naruto whimpered quietly, and Kakashi turned to face the bed again. He opened his mouth to say something, but then shut it. For once he wasn't sure what he should say. Did he ask if something was wrong? But it was obvious that his arm hurt, so of course something would be wrong. Yet the boy had hardly complained about it since they had left, so was it something else that had caused it? He realized that he'd have to ask the boy if he wanted to know anything, as he could hardly read a child's mind. Naruto, is something wrong? He asked hesitantly. Scared, Naruto said softly, the drug's already starting to work. Of what? Kakashi asked, looking around. He didn't sense any danger, and while the window was cracked open a little he was sure there was no one out there. Alone, Naruto mumbled, and Kakashi sighed, feeling stupid. I should have realized he'd be uncomfortable in a new place, let alone if he has to stay by himself. But I have to go. Sandaime summoned me after all. Kakashi pondered it for a few more minutes before he came up with a solution. He quickly pulled out a kunai and nicked his finger, using the blood to summon his pack of Niken. You need something, boss? The smallest of them asked. He wore a blue vest and a Konoha protector across his forehead. Pakin, you and the pack are going to watch the pup for me while I go see the Hokage, Kakashi told him, nodding to Naruto when he said pup. Don't let anything happen to him while I'm gone, and if he wakes up, tell him to stay in the house until I get back. Sure thing, boss, Pakin said, and a few of the dogs jumped into the bed, curling up around the now sleeping boy while the rest spread out on the floor. As their warmth began to spread through the blankets, Naruto instinctively turned towards one of them, wrapping his arm around it like a teddy bear. The dog he grabbed merely snuggled closer while Kakashi gave Pakin a final nod and left for the Hokage's. Kakashi didn't take long to reach the Hokage's office, and he realized as he walked in that his visits here would probably become much more frequent. Waiting inside were 5 ANBU, and Kakashi hid his confusion behind a smile and customary wave. Yo! They all nodded at him as he entered, and moved to the side, forming a path to the Hokage's desk. Is the child settling in all right? The Hokage asked as Kakashi reached him. As much as possible in the few hours since you saw him, Kakashi responded dryly. He's sleeping now, with my Niken keeping an eye on him. I apologize for having to take you away from him, the Hokage said with a smile. However, there are a few things left to finalize with your new mission. The ANBU here are all ones I trust implicitly, and they will aid you with hunting down any traitors. They will also report directly to you as of now, and I will do my best to see that none get sent out on other missions for the time being. Kakashi nodded and glanced over at the other ANBU. He had worked with all of them at one time or another, and they were definitely strong. He didn't know how he felt about trusting them though. I believe you have a spare room in your home. That should be able to function as your temporary office. Once we have this mess sorted out we can talk about moving it elsewhere if you wish, the Hokage said, and Kakashi nodded again. They will all stop by your place sometime throughout the next day or so, and you can brief them more fully. Yes sir, dismissed then. Oh, and Kakashi. Yes, Hokage-sama? I'll want weekly updates on Naruto. Don't be late turning them in. Kakashi nodded one last time and then disappeared in a small puff of smoke. He was soon running across the rooftops back towards the house. If we're going to use the spare room as an office, I'm going to have to strengthen the security. Kakashi was still thinking over what he should do when he walked in the front door. All thoughts of security were set aside as he went upstairs to check on the sleeping boy. When he opened the door quietly, Pakin got up and walked out into the hallway with him. Any problems? Kakashi asked, leaning against the wall. He hardly moved the whole time, boss. Did you want us to hang around or are we done? I have a few more things to do, so stay with him a while longer, Kakashi said after a moment. As long as the kid was sleeping peacefully, he might as well take care of the security now. Kakashi spent the next few hours laying traps, placing barriers, and making sure it would be nearly impossible for anyone to come anywhere near the house without him knowing about it. That should about do it. Just in time too, since the kid should be waking up soon, he thought, heading back in. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard a loud scream of pure terror from Naruto's room. Pulling a kunai, he dashed up the stairs. Wawa! Naruto couldn't help but scream as he woke up face to face with a monster with gray fur and a black mohawk staring straight at him. He scrambled back away from it, only to fall over another furry lump in his bed. Oi kid! Calm down, Pakin said, jumping on the bed as Shiba and Urishi shifted around the kid. Naruto had to be seeing things, or at least hearing them. A dog was talking to him after all, and dogs didn't talk. His thoughts were interrupted when Kakashi nearly broke the door down, kunai in hand, and his eyes already frantically searching for a target. But what happened? Kakashi asked blandly once he realized there wasn't any threat. The pup woke up with Shiba's face in his pack and said, now turning to face Kakashi. Ma, I suppose that could scare anyone, Kakashi said with a sigh, putting the kunai away and scratching the back of his head with his other hand. Looking over at Naruto, he realized the boy was still just staring. Naruto-kun, you don't have to be so surprised. Haven't you ever seen Niken before? Niken? Ninja dogs, Kakashi patiently explained. The boy relaxed as he realized the animals around him were just dogs, even if one of them was bigger than he was. Yep. We're Kakashi's pack, the tan one with the sunglasses said. We can track things down using scent, and help catch whatever our ninja is hunting for. That's amazing, Naruto said, his eyes wide with awe. Kakashi hid a grin as he watched the boy's fear fade quickly. You guys even talk. Hi they do, but don't get them started or they'll never stop, Kakashi said, stepping in. You guys can go for now. I'm sure you'll want to check out our new place. They all nodded before disappearing out the window and Naruto stared after them. Can I play with them sometime? Naruto asked hesitantly, turning back to find Kakashi leaning against the door frame. If you eat your vegetables, I don't see why not, Kakashi replied, already realizing how useful the Niken would be in caring for the pup. Naruto's face fell at the mention of vegetables, but he almost immediately cheered up. Even though it was only his first day with Kakashi, he was already happier here than he had ever been anywhere else. Just so you know, the Hokage has some work for me to do. I can do it here, but you'll have to entertain yourself while I do, Kakashi said, feeling uncertain after watching the play of emotions across the boy's face. Do you think you will be okay by yourself if I leave the pack with you? Naruto nodded, and solemnly replied. I can take care of myself when you need to help Ji-chan. Alright. Let's get you some dinner first then, Kakashi said, pushing himself off the door. A part of him wondered if he should say something about a little kid calling the Hokage an old man, but then he mentally shrugged. If the Hokage has a problem with it, he'll say something. Naruto practically bounced out of bed and trailed behind Kakashi to the kitchen. Once again Naruto sat at the table while Kakashi cooked, though this time he just sighed when he saw the vegetables. With a look of pathetic resignation, he started working his way through the pile. Kakashi felt the corners of his mouth twitch, and quickly busied himself with his own food. After dinner, the two washed the dishes from the day, with Kakashi washing and Naruto putting them in the drying rack. The child had been adamant about helping, but his first attempt at washing one-handed had left more bubbles on him than on the dishes, and the thought of the child handling glass more than just putting it on a rack made him nervous. Once the chore was done, Kakashi again summoned his pack, and sent all of them out to play in the backyard. Then he climbed the stairs to his new office, opening the window as he entered. Within minutes Weasel appeared standing in the empty space. Kakashi-san, Weasel said, giving a swift salute. Weasel. Kakashi nodded his head in greeting and then looked the shinobi over. After a minute or two he sighed. Close the window for now. Weasel complied swiftly, and once the window was closed he turned back to Kakashi and removed his mask. Hokage-sama thought it best you get to know all of us better, Itachi Uchiha said, his smile grim. Given all of the house cleaning we will be doing together, I suppose it's for the best, Kakashi said with a nod. Then he leaned back against the wall. You'll have to forgive the lack of furniture. I'm afraid my custom desk is still on order. However, I should be able to tolerate standing long enough to brief you, since you came all this way. Kakashi's nonchalant voice caused the corners of Itachi's mouth to twitch, but he was otherwise solemn as Kakashi outlined what the Hokage was truly asking of them. When he had finished, Itachi slid his mask back on and went to the window. Once I have gotten an estimate of everyone's abilities, I will begin passing out your orders, Kakashi told him as he left. Itachi nodded in response and then disappeared through the window, as silently as he had come. Kakashi awoke with a start the next day, reaching for a kunai as his ears strained to figure out what had woken him. He heard clanging coming from the first floor, and soundlessly teleported himself into the hallway. As he peeked around the corner, he saw the refrigerator door open and a small rear end sticking out as its owner dug through the fridge. With a sigh, Kakashi hid the kunai and then leaned up against the doorway, waiting for the child to notice him. He's going to have me jumping at shadows at this rate, Kakashi couldn't help but think with a grimace. As Naruto finally found what he was looking for, he stood up and closed the door. When he saw Kakashi, he started, and dropped the eggs he had just pulled out. Ohio Kakashi-san. Sorry about the eggs, I'll get them cleaned up, the young boy said, grabbing a dishcloth and attempting to clean up the mess one-handed. I didn't hear you at all. You must be a really good ninja, huh? Naruto watched Kakashi carefully as he cleaned, trying to hide his nervousness. The silence seemed to stretch and Naruto felt his gut twist as he waited for the expected lecture or punishment. However, Kakashi just shook his head and took the cloth from Naruto. Go sit down, I'll clean it up. It's easier to do two-handed than one after all, he said mildly. What were you going to do with the eggs anyway? You cooked for me yesterday, so I wanted to make you something today, Naruto replied shyly. So you're not mad at me for breaking the eggs when I startled you? Why would I be angry? Kakashi asked, puzzled. It was my own fault for not letting you know I was here. As Naruto mumbled something unintelligible, Kakashi realized that it had to be a reaction from a past home. Someone, or multiple someones, had been very harsh on the kid, to the point where he practically drew in on himself if he thought he was in the slightest bit of trouble. Naruto-kun. I won't get angry with you for things that aren't your fault, Kakashi told the boy patiently. Though I think I would feel better if you left the cooking to me for the time being. In fact, I'll feel a lot better, Kakashi thought, a chill running down his back as he realized the potential hazard of a child in the kitchen by himself. Both to the kitchen and his health. Once the egg was cleaned up, Kakashi began making breakfast while Naruto found himself once more sitting at the table. Nah, Kakashi-san? Never mind. Kakashi raised an eyebrow and turned to look at the boy who was now staring at the table. With a sigh, Kakashi finished cooking and set the plates on the table, pulling his mask down as he sat to eat. Naruto-kun, if something is bothering you, you have to tell me. Without using a jutsu, I can't exactly read your mind. And somehow I doubt the Sandaime would be okay with me using such a jutsu on a child, Kakashi told the silent boy. His attempt at levity fell flat though, and Naruto kept poking at his food. I don't know what the Hokage was thinking asking me to do this, Kakashi couldn't help but think. I've never had to take care of anyone else before, let alone a kid who can't even reach the sink by himself yet. Are you really not mad? Naruto asked suddenly, interrupting Kakashi's thoughts. I'm really not mad, Kakashi said firmly. Naruto looked at him somewhat suspiciously, but seemed to accept Kakashi at his word after that. Then can you start teaching me to be a ninja today? Should have seen that coming, Kakashi thought wryly, though his face showed nothing as the young boy looked at him hopefully. We should dash, Kakashi started to say, and then was struck with an idea. On second thought, yes, we can start today. First thing we need to work on is you noticing your surroundings. Whenever you walk into a room, or are walking down the street, you should always be paying attention to what is going on around you. I'll quiz you occasionally on what you see. And when we're in the house, I'll expect you to find what is different. That should be enough to keep him busy until I can think of something better. Hi! Naruto practically shouted, digging into the rest of his meal happily, and he's eating his vegetables without complaining. Maybe I can do this after all. After the meal, the two washed dishes together, and then Kakashi sent Naruto to play with the Niken, though he reminded him of his homework. With a sigh, Kakashi climbed the stairs and opened the window, pulling out a book to entertain him while he waited. By lunchtime, Kakashi had met the rest of the team, though its composition made him smile. It sounds like a bad joke. An Uchiha, a Hyuga and a snake walk into a bar. In the end, his 5-man squad contained Itachi Uchiha, Hizashi Hyuga, Anko Mitarashi, Ibiki Marino, and Tenzo or Weasel, Rabbit, Snake, Bear, and Cat respectively. Each of them had reacted slightly differently when told their true mission, but all had one thing in common. Kakashi had seen it in their eyes, and he wondered if he'd be able to keep them from tearing the traitor to pieces long enough to interrogate them. Oh well. I'll deal with that when we know for sure. And now it's about time to feed the boy and see how he's feeling. After that first day, he hasn't complained about his arm hurting at all. Though with the Kyuubi inside of him, he's likely to heal faster, so we'll probably be able to take the sling off in another day or two. Kakashi pushed off the wall and headed for the kitchen, though he came to an abrupt halt when he saw paw and footprints tracked through the hallway leading to the living room. His intuition told him he shouldn't go in there, but he made himself move forward. As he walked into the living room, his gut feeling was confirmed. Mud, sticks, and leaves were scattered around, completely blanketing large portions of the floor and small rugs the Hokage had sent. In the center of the floor lay a large pile of Niken with a small figure nestled tightly at its center. After a deep breath, Kakashi just sighed and let his shoulders sag. I'm not ready for this after all. He stood there a while longer, debating what to do, and then just gave up, heading into the kitchen to make lunch. The smell of food woke the boy, who in turn woke the Niken, and like a duck with her chicks, they all trailed into the kitchen. The Niken saw the bowls of food left on the ground for them, and quickly headed over to them, while Naruto went to seat himself at the table. Before he could sit though, Kakashi held up a hand to stop him. Go wash up first. Naruto took a moment to look at himself before giving Kakashi a wide grin and bouncing down the hall to the bathroom. He was back moments later with a clean face and hands, though his t-shirt and shorts were still covered. Looking at his clothes, Kakashi realized the kid hardly had any sets of clothes, and most looked to be quite worn. The stipend Sandaime gave me is more than enough to afford his food and decent clothes for him, Kakashi thought as he set a plate in front of Naruto with a glass of milk before getting his own plate. The more he thought about, the more irritated he became. Without meaning to, Kakashi paused with the fork partway to his mouth and just glared at it, wishing he could find out who had taken care of the kid before him. Naruto noticed the look of death Kakashi was giving his food and gulped loudly, unable to move. The sound brought Kakashi out of his daydream of torture, and he blinked, looking at the terrified boy. Naruto-kun, don't be mad. Naruto squeaked. I'm sorry. Naruto, Kakashi interrupted, a little more forcibly than he meant to, but it did get the boy to stop rambling. He started to sigh, and then stopped himself, taking a deep breath. Naruto-kun, you're not in trouble, but you looked like you were going to hurt someone. Your eye was really hard like when the old ladies would get mad, the boy said, looking down at his plate. It had nothing to do with you, kid. I was just thinking of someone I'd have liked to get my hands on is all, Kakashi said, reaching over and ruffling Naruto's hair. I don't ever want to be that person, Naruto mumbled, glancing up at Kakashi from beneath his bangs. The Jounin just grinned and shrugged. Most people with brains don't. Now come on, finish up, then we have a few extra chores this afternoon. Naruto nodded and shoveled the last of his food into his mouth, downing his milk in a single gulp. Dishes were first, and then came the living room, something Kakashi made the Nikken help out with as well. Once that was done, Kakashi grabbed what he needed and led Naruto into the town proper. As they walked, Naruto again stayed close to him, and Kakashi noted his eyes were constantly moving. Deciding it was a good time for a pop quiz, Kakashi spotted a woman who walked by wearing an obnoxious kimono. Naruto-kun, what color hair did the woman in the bright orange kimono have? Brown? Naruto responded hesitantly. The orange of the kimono had drawn his attention, but he hadn't paid attention to anything else about her. Wearing something bright like that will distract you from more important details, Kakashi explained. She had black hair and blue eyes. Let's try again. How many restaurants have we walked past since we left? 5. Naruto answered confidently. A dango shop, a ramen stand, 2 grill places, and a sushi place. Figures he notices the food. And what about weapon shops? 1? Naruto guessed, though he honestly couldn't remember having seen any. Why do you say 1? Kakashi asked, hearing his hesitation. I didn't see one, but we've walked pretty far, so there was probably one there somewhere, the child reasoned. Logical. But unfortunately for you, false in this instance. In Konoha, most of the weapons shops, along with the smiths that make them, tend to be located in the central district. We'll be going there when it's time for you to start weapons training, but for now we're going to a clothing store. Clothing store? You can't keep wearing the same 3 outfits, Naruto-kun. Especially if you continue to attack the mud and then bring it home. Naruto flushed, but still grinned. At least I won. Just try to keep your battles outside, rather than in the living room, unless you want to spend every afternoon cleaning it with the Nikken. I'll be more careful, Naruto replied instantly. Scrubbing mud had not been fun at all. Even with Kakashi and the Nikken it had taken more than an hour, and the rug still wasn't completely clean yet. Good. Now here we are, Kakashi said, indicating a shop that specialized in clothes for children. The two walked in, and the cashier smiled at Kakashi until she caught sight of Naruto. Before she could open her mouth though, Kakashi gave her a look that would have made most ninja turn and run. As it was, the cashier shut her mouth and retreated. Naruto was looking around with curiosity, having never been in such a shop, and missed the exchange entirely. Pick out a few outfits you like, Naruto-kun. I'll find you something suitable to train in as well, Kakashi said, watching for a moment to make sure the boy would be okay while he searched. In the end, they had found 3 training uniforms, and 4 day-to-day outfits, though Kakashi had no doubt the boy would need more than that in the near future. They also had a pair of fox pajamas with a sleeping hat. Naruto had seemed fascinated by them, and the irony struck Kakashi as too good a joke to pass up. The cashier rang them up quickly, saying hardly 5 words to either of them, but Kakashi didn't care. Better they not speak if they were going to try and harass his charge. Just walking through the village made Kakashi realize that the Sandaime had been right about one thing: the boy needed a protector. The dark looks the villagers directed towards the boy were bad enough, but the way the cashier had reacted proved it went further than that. Even many of the ninja families looked down at him. His own father sacrificed him for the safety of the village, and this is what he gets. No family to speak of and the hate of an entire village directed at him. As they walked home that day, Kakashi felt something stir within him, something he hadn't felt for a long time. Determination rose and he silently swore to his sensei's ghost that he would find a way to care for this child. Kakashi had a few peaceful days after their trip to the shopping district. He had taken Naruto to the hospital for a checkup the next day, and the sling had come off. Apparently being a container for the Kyuubi had some benefits, though Kakashi was confident it wasn't a fair trade by any means. Naruto had been kept busy by the Nikken while Kakashi turned his office into an actual office and began the task he had been given. It was at breakfast, nearly 2 weeks after Naruto had come to live with him, that things changed again. Kakashi-san, are you busy again today? Naruto asked, keeping his eyes down shyly. Kakashi started to answer, and then paused. He had hardly spent any time with the child outside of their meals. Ma, I'm supposed to be working, but I think I will play hooky for the day. Why do you ask? Play hooky? I'm going to take a vacation day. A break, Kakashi explained, hiding his smile. He'd have to teach Naruto about breaking rules at some point, but now probably was a little early. Oh, okay. Ji-chan won't get mad, right? Naruto asked innocently. I'll talk to him about it tomorrow, Kakashi assured him, and Naruto nodded, content that it was taken care of. Good thing he isn't old enough to see the flaw in that logic. Then, can you teach me more about being a ninja today? Naruto asked with barely contained anticipation. Wouldn't you rather go to a park or something a little more fun? Nah. Kakashi-san is always so busy, so I'd rather learn to be a ninja. Then I can help you so you don't have to work so much, Naruto told him with the logic every 4-year-old seemed to have. How about this? We'll train in the morning, go get ramen for lunch, and then go to the park, Kakashi said, feeling a bit guilty. He thanked whatever was out there that he had the Nikken so the child wasn't so lonely. As it was, he decided he'd have to set office hours or it would be too easy for him to leave Naruto alone far too often. Really? Really? Alright, Naruto said, jumping out of his seat. He quickly gathered up the dishes, only to be stopped by Kakashi. Finish your breakfast, Naruto-kun, or you won't have enough energy for later. Hi 3, Naruto replied, complying immediately. Kakashi just shook his head and finished his own meal. They hurried through the chores, and after the Nikken had finished eating, Kakashi gathered up some of his tools and then sent them out with it. Then he motioned for Naruto to follow him outside. They walked out into the backyard and Kakashi listened as the Nikken howled in the forest. First one and then another, each one letting him know they had finished their task. As you know, a ninja must be good at moving around quietly, Kakashi said, putting on his best lecturer's voice. And you must also be attentive to your surroundings. The Nikken have laid traps throughout the forest, so pay attention and try to make your way to me. I'll be at the other side waiting for you, though if you stray too far from our play area the Nikken will bring you back. Which way will you be? Naruto couldn't help but ask, feeling slightly apprehensive. Nearly straight ahead. There's a clearing with a pond there. However, I'll give you a few hints before I go. If you take the direct path, there will be more traps. Also, to move quietly in your surroundings, you must become a part of it. Jaya any? Kakashi waved and then disappeared in a puff of smoke, teleporting himself into the nearby tree to watch. Another part of being a ninja was not losing your cool when facing something you weren't expecting. Naruto looked uncertain, but then he took a deep breath and walked into the forest. Kakashi followed as the boy tried to tiptoe through the forest. Kakashi grimaced at the noise he made, though he had to give the kid credit. For a 4-year-old, he wasn't making much more noise than an elephant. A wince followed as the first trap was sprung and a miniature scarecrow popped out of the bush. Naruto screamed and scrambled backwards away from the stuffed doll, only to trigger a second trap, this one a net that scooped him up and hung him in a tree. I'm beginning to think this was the wrong way to go about it. Kakashi couldn't help but think as he watched Pakken cut him down. The boy fell with a soft oof onto a pile of leaves the Nikken had thoughtfully left for him. Naruto set off again, and Kakashi ran a hand through his hair as he watched Naruto run into the same style of trap no more than 20 feet from the first one. This time he jumped at the scarecrow, and went falling into a pit instead. I think he has a talent for finding traps, Kakashi thought with a snort half an hour later. The boy had managed to trip every single trap the Nikken had set. Partway through, Kakashi had given up on taking the exercise seriously, and just watched with growing humor at each new incident. Kakashi-san, I found you, Naruto said as he walked into the clearing, a huge smile on his face. Leaves and dirt stuck everywhere to him, but he didn't bother to remove them. Naruto-kun, the idea was to avoid the traps, not walk into them, Kakashi chided him lightly. At least I found them, the 4-year-old replied cheekily, plopping down next to where Kakashi sat. Kakashi nodded at him and ruffled his hair lightly. Alright then, I'll give you that. Now let's eat. Eat what? Naruto asked, looking confused. There wasn't any food anywhere that he could see. Kakashi smiled again, and made a seal, releasing the picnic basket he'd put into a scroll earlier in the day. This food. Wah. That's so cool. Hi, now eat up and then you'll try again getting back home, this time without triggering the traps hopefully, Kakashi said, his lips twitching as he tried to suppress a smile. Naruto wolfed down lunch while Kakashi watched, though he also continued to scan the clearing. He felt another presence join them, and discreetly gave the signal for them to wait. As Naruto finished, Kakashi packed up the rest and stowed it away once more. Aren't you going to eat? Naruto asked, head tilting. Nah, not hungry yet, Kakashi said in an offhand manner. Now like I said, avoid the traps. Pakken will go with you this time and show you how to identify them. At his name, Pakken jumped down from a tree nearby and walked up to Naruto. You ready, kid? Yeah, let's go. Kakashi just shook his head as he watched Naruto run right into a pit trap before Pakken could even get out a warning. Then he jumped up into the nearest tree and signaled his company to follow him back to the house. So what did you discover? Kakashi asked as his small team gathered in the office. Hokage-sama was right to assume Root was still operating, though its functions have been greatly reduced, Hizashi said, stepping forward. He handed Kakashi a few pieces of paper before stepping back again. I believe I have identified most of their members and their safe houses. Danzo is still the leader, but what his motives are is still unclear. We have a good start at least. What of the rest of ANBU? Kakashi asked, looking towards Itachi. I have already ferreted out a few that are suspicious. However, they are all dangerous enough that I have not approached them alone. Do they appear to be working together? Tenzo asked, rubbing his chin in thought. From what I have observed, a few of them are working in pairs, but nothing larger than that. It speaks poorly of our village if numerous teams can get past us with only 1 or 2 people, Kakashi said with a mild voice. I think we should have a little talk with them then, Anko said, a sadistic smile covering her face. I was thinking of taking a little stroll in the moonlight tomorrow anyway, Ibiki added with a grin of his own. Now children, mother always said to share, Kakashi said. Hizashi will join you tomorrow, Ibiki. And Anko, be a dear and show Tenzo a thing or two. Itachi, I was thinking it would be nice to introduce Naruto-kun to Sasuke-kun. They're about the same age after all. Each of them nodded, their faces ranging with varying degrees of anticipation. Itachi gave them the names of the most dangerous pairs, and the teams split up, each already planning how they would take out their targets. Itachi stayed behind as the others left, watching them go before turning to Kakashi. Do you really think it is alright to leave Naruto-kun with the Uchihas for the night? We can always bring Sasuke-kun here for the night. I can ask Kurenai to watch them until we get back. She owes me a favor, and how hard can it be to keep an eye on a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old for just a few hours? Itachi agreed and then slipped out the window as they heard the downstairs door open. With Naruto back, they would have to finish their discussion later. After making sure the boy was in one piece, Kakashi told him to stay inside and play with the Nikken while he ran an errand. He managed to find Kurenai fairly easily, and used the same argument he had used with Itachi to win her over. She agreed to keep an eye on the two brats for the few hours they would need. Naruto nearly gave Kakashi a heart attack when he told him over dinner about the sleep over the following night. The boy had jumped at Kakashi spontaneously, squeezing him as tightly as his small frame would allow, and it was all Kakashi could do to not draw a kunai in reaction. Kakashi saw Naruto to bed, making sure the child brushed his teeth properly, and actually went to sleep. Then he set Pakken and the others on guard duty and went to meet with Itachi to finish their planning session. The next morning Kakashi made breakfast as usual, although Naruto was practically bouncing in his seat the entire time. When the food was set in front of him, he ate faster than Kakashi did in a public place. Naruto-kun, please take time to breathe while eating, Kakashi said in a bored voice. He made sure he himself was going at a slower pace, and nodded when Naruto followed suit. Kakashi-san, when will I get to play with a new friend? Naruto asked, his eyes wide. Tonight, probably around dinner time. Until then we are going to clean up the house and then go run a few errands, Kakashi told him, unable to repress a grin. They finished breakfast and then set about dusting and tidying up the house. There was very little mess to actually clean, as Kakashi kept all of his things in his room and Naruto still had very little of his own. Something Kakashi planned to begin remedying today. The Nikken helped as much as they could, and by lunchtime everything was sparkling. Looking around, Kakashi quickly decided to eat out for lunch, rather than have to clean anymore, and grabbed his packs and jacket. Ready, Naruto-kun? Hi, let's get going then, Kakashi said, slipping his hands into his pockets and heading out. Naruto followed at his side, a bright smile on his face. When they reached the business district, Kakashi stopped in front of one of the ramen stands and sighed. Hokage-sama said he loves this place, and he really has been good about eating healthier, so I suppose this once I can make do. With a grimace he stepped into the Ichiraku ramen shop. After they had eaten, Kakashi decided it had been worth the torture, as the child's face had lit up even brighter when he realized they were going to actually eat there. Not only that, the owner even made an extra bowl for the boy, explaining to Kakashi that he needed to be sure to bring their best customer by more often. Kakashi had just nodded and smiled through his mask. Even though he might dislike eating too much ramen, it was obvious that the socializing was good for Naruto, and he made a mental note to make sure the boy did, indeed, make it by more often. With lunch out of the way, Kakashi led Naruto further into the shopping district until he reached one of the many toy shops. Naruto's mouth dropped open when he looked through the window, and he nearly ran into Kakashi. Careful kid, Kakashi murmured, steering him inside gently. What are we getting from here? Naruto asked, still captivated by all of the interesting things. Well, you and Sasuke-kun will need things to play with tonight, won't you? And I would rather you not run around the house playing ninja. Even blunted can I leave marks, you know, Kakashi told him, glancing around. So let's try to pick a few things out that you think you'll like and maybe a few that he might like. After much wide-eyed gazing and debating, they walked out of the shop with a ball the size of Naruto's head, a memory game, a few stuffed animals, 2 coloring books with crayons, and a set of building blocks. While Kakashi could easily turn some of the things into weapons, he was fairly certain the boys would be unable to do the same. Kakashi had also picked up some letter and number flashcards, as he realized with a start that Naruto would be starting school in a few months, and he hadn't even checked to see if the child was ready. The cashier looked at him oddly, but wisely said nothing other than telling him their total. With that done, they headed to one of the small markets and picked out a few things for Kakashi to make for dinner. Naruto carried one of the bags of his toys, a huge smile plastered to his face. Even the grocery shopping could not bother him. However, as they started to walk back, Kakashi's sensitive ears picked up some of the whispers around them. And judging by the speed at which Naruto's smile disappeared, he heard it as well. Terrible creature. They'd even make a ninja take him. Too young to have such a burden. Why isn't he dead yet? Kakashi shot that one a glare, and freed up one of his hands to lay it on Naruto's shoulder. Don't listen to their poison, Naruto-kun. I chose to take you in myself. They aren't ninja and they don't know our ways. If they did, they would be facing the business end of my kunai for saying such things, Kakashi told the boy, his voice low, but his eyes still hard as he looked at the gossips. However, when he turned to make sure Naruto was listening, his eye softened, and Naruto could only nod. While he didn't know what Kakashi meant by business end of his kunai, he felt his eyes start to fill, and hastily tried to blink it away. It was the first time anyone other than Ji-chan had spoken so protectively of him, and Kakashi's look was even fiercer than Ji-chan's had ever been. A feeling he didn't recognize welled up in him, and the tears spilled over. Kakashi quickly picked him up and they disappeared in a puff of smoke. He would not let them see his charge's pain. They reappeared in a tree nearby and Kakashi held Naruto as he cried. "Come on, kid, don't let them get to you," Kakashi said quietly. "They're the monsters forever talking about a person like that, not you." "Didn't I tell that when we first met?" "Hi," Naruto said through sniffles. "Then cheer up. We're going to have friends over tonight, and you don't want to meet them with red eyes," Kakashi teased him gently, trying to remember what his mother had done when she had still been alive. "Arigato Kakashi-san," Naruto said, though it came out a little muffled as his face was still pressed into Kakashi's neck. "For what?" "For being so nice to me," Naruto replied, wiping the remains of his tears and looking into Kakashi's face. "No one has ever cared what people said. Even Ji-chan couldn't say anything, but you made them stop. I'll always watch out for you," Kakashi heard himself promise, though on the inside he prayed that he would be able to keep it. "Now, let's get home and make sure everything is ready for dinner." Naruto just nodded and held on tight as Kakashi took to the rooftops for the rest of the trip home. Once they arrived, Kakashi sent Naruto off to his room to put his toys away while he began cooking dinner. He had just finished frying the carriage when he heard a knock at the door. Shutting off the flame, he opened it to see Itachi standing there in the closest thing to normal clothes that he owned, and a small figure with a mop of black hair clinging to his leg. "Come in," Kakashi said, stepping out of the way. Itachi nodded and Sasuke tailed in after him. "Naruto-kun is upstairs right now, but he should be down soon. Generally smelling food will bring him running." Sasuke smiled at this and Itachi only nodded again. Kakashi showed them to the kitchen and began setting out the dishes. True to his nature, Naruto did come down as soon as he smelled the finished food, though he stopped shyly at the entrance to the kitchen. "Naruto-kun, this is Sasuke-kun and Itachi-san," Kakashi said, gesturing as he spoke. "You too, this is Naruto." "Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun," Itachi said with a small smile. Seeing this, Naruto came further into the kitchen, though he kept his eyes on the other small boy. With a knowing look, Itachi nudged Sasuke. "Don't be rude, Sasuke. It's nice to meet you," the small black-haired boy said, finally looking Naruto over. Naruto was doing the same thing, but still managed to get out a reply before sitting down. "Nice to meet ya." They ate quietly, though Naruto still plowed through his food with his normal gusto. Kakashi and Itachi talked quietly, going over a few last-minute plans while the boys continued to sit there quietly. Once he was done eating though, Naruto couldn't stand the silence any longer. "So Sasuke-kun, what kinds of things do you like?" "What do you mean?" "Kakashi-san took me out today and we got lots of new toys for us to play with. So what kind of toys do you like?" Naruto asked. "I like playing games with Nii-san," Sasuke replied uncertainly. "Why don't you two go pick a few things from Naruto-kun's room and bring them down to the living room to play?" Itachi suggested, breaking off his conversation with Kakashi. "You can also show Naruto-kun the books we brought along." "Okay," Sasuke said, getting up with Naruto. Come on, this way," Naruto said with a grin. "I'll show you my room." Sasuke looked dubious, but followed along anyway, and the two were soon back downstairs, each carrying an armful of toys. They settled onto the floor and each pulled out one of the coloring books, quietly talking as they colored. "Looks like this will be simple after all," Itachi said with a smile, watching them from the doorway. "For them at least," Kakashi agreed with a smile of his own. Right on time, he heard the knock on the door and turned to answer it. Kurenai walked in without waiting for an invitation, and nodded to Itachi before looking over the boys. Kakashi grinned and then walked into the living room. "Naruto-kun, Sasuke-kun, Itachi-san and I have an errand we need to run, so Kurenai-san is going to watch you while we're gone. Make sure you listen to her, and when she says it is time for bed, don't argue," Kakashi said nonchalantly. "If you argue I'll make you eat a kunai," Kurenai said with a slightly sadistic grin. Recognizing the look, both boys gulped and nodded. "All right, be good then," Itachi said, and he and Kakashi turned and walked out. Once in the woods, Itachi unsealed his things and pulled on his gear. Kakashi rearranged his, and once they were ready both ninja put on their ANBU masks and set off into the night. Kakashi and Itachi set off dashing through the trees, though neither made a sound as they did. Their target was a pair of ninja from Kumo. Hizashi had warned them to be careful as there were more Kumo ninja in Konoha due to a peace treaty being signed. They found their targets fairly quickly but came to a halt as they saw who their targets were talking to. "That's the head of the delegation from Kumo," Kakashi whispered, and Itachi nodded. They both activated their Sharingans and began reading the leader's lips. "I'll meet you outside of the target's compound in 2 hours with the package. From there you are to return home with it." "They're pretty arrogant to be standing around talking in the open like this," Itachi commented softly as the commander thanked them for their message and walked away. "Most likely using their guise as ANBU to pretend to be on business. After all, the Hokage uses the ANBU for various errands and everyone in the village knows it," Kakashi said, thinking aloud. "I'm afraid Kurenai is going to have to watch the boys for a bit longer than we expected. Do we take their places or wait until they have the package?" "We'll follow them until they meet up with them again. That way we can be sure we're in the right place," Kakashi said. "If they split up, we'll each tail one. My Nikan are already following them, so if you lose your target they'll help you." With another nod, the two began tailing their targets. However, it seemed the fake ANBU were truly overconfident, and didn't even bother to head separate ways. After about an hour and a half, the enemy ninja began making their way across town until they neared the Hyuga clan compound. "We're still a bit early," the one commented offhandedly to his partner, not bothering to keep his voice down all that much. Kakashi frowned, but he and Itachi held their positions. The waiting paid off, as not too long after the comment, a ninja jumped over the wall, carrying a small bundle that hung oddly. Looking closer, Kakashi realized it was child, about Naruto's age judging by the size. The abductors took off and Kakashi and Itachi instantly followed, Kakashi's Niken flanking their opponents at his silent signal. "We need to take them out quickly so the girl isn't hurt," Itachi said, and Kakashi managed to convey the obviousness of his statement, even through his dog mask. "Catch the kid's captor in the Sharingan if you can. The dogs and I can deal with the other two, assuming we get them before they meet up with their backup." Itachi nodded and the two sped up, though they made sure to carefully conceal their chakra. Kakashi attacked first, two well-aimed kunai causing the two ninja not carrying the girl to dodge to the side as they heard the coming. The Niken took the opportunity to grab the distracted ninja. Itachi only briefly noted this as he continued after the remaining ninja. Said ninja had noticed his companions were missing, and was looking for a defensible location. Within seconds he had stopped and turned to face Itachi. The Kumo ninja had a kunai to the young child's neck. Itachi wasn't worried though, and landed in the clearing in front of the enemy. "Stay back or I'll kill her," the Kumo ninja yelled. He made the mistake of looking at Itachi though, who had just taken off his mask. Itachi smiled as he activated the Sharingan, sending the man into a personal hell. The kunai fell from his hand and he dropped the girl, screaming in agony as he fell to his knees, unable to break the jutsu. "Nice job," Kakashi said as he caught up. Itachi slipped his mask back on and turned to him. "Everything went well on your end?" "Of course. The Niken are taking our prisoners to TNI right now." "I'll take this one," you returned the kid. Itachi nodded, scooping up the child gently. Looking her over he realized how tiny she was. The child's size reminded him of another child nearly as small and his mouth tightened at the thought of what had almost happened. Hayashi Hyuga thanked Itachi personally for returning the small child, and Itachi realized it had to be the heir that had nearly been kidnapped. After making sure the Hyugas would be alright, he set off to meet up with Kakashi, guessing that he would still be with the prisoners in the ANBU headquarters. Briefly he wondered if he should stop by Kakashi's home on the way, to inform Kurenai of the night's events, but just as quickly as the thought had come he dismissed it. There were too many other things to do, like reporting to the Hokage. Around 2 in the morning the pair finally headed back to Kakashi's place. The Niken were spread out around them, making sure there weren't any stray ninja to catch them off guard. After the incident, and seeing that the enemy ninja were indeed from Kumo, the ANBU had put the rest of the Kumo visitors under arrest. Then Kakashi had to track down the rest of his team, making sure that at least their missions had gone smoothly. Luckily for Kakashi, other than Tenzo needing a few days of therapy, everything seemed fine, and really, after doing a TNI mission with Enko, anyone would need a few days of therapy, Kakashi thought, a small grin forming on his face. They stopped when they reached the break in the woods to his yard, and both ninjas stopped to remove all evidence of the night, though there would be nothing they could do about the smell of blood that still clung to them. "We were lucky it didn't get too messy," Itachi said, and Kakashi found himself agreeing. Kurenai knew they had gone on a mission, but Kakashi hadn't told her anything other than that, and trying to hide massive bloodstains would have been difficult. They were barely through the door when they found themselves face to face with an irate Kunoichi. "Where have you two been?" Kurenai asked, her voice deadly soft. "Ma, we got lost on the road of life on the way," Kakashi started, ducking as Kurenai took a swing at him in the tight hallway. "Kurenai-san, I apologize for our tardiness, but the errand took longer than expected," Itachi said, attempting to come to Kakashi's rescue. "There was nothing we could have done to be back sooner." "I don't care. Both of you are dead," Kurenai said as she began advancing once more towards Kakashi, who was trying to get to the living room so he would have a little more room. "Starting with you. I realize we're late but I don't see why you are so upset," Kakashi said, giving his best smile through his mask. Then he saw his living room and his visible eye went wide. All around the room toys and paper were strewn. Crayon drawings filled any blank portion of the wall, and his couch looked like Bull had used it as a trampoline. There were even a few dents in various parts of the wall. "What happened?" Kakashi asked softly, in awe of the destruction wreaked on his living room. "How hard can it be?" you said. "They're only 4 and 5 and it's just for a few hours," you said, Kurenai spat at him. "Barely half an hour after you left, they decided that playing with toys in the standard fashion wasn't good enough." "Please tell me they are still alive," Itachi said as he surveyed the damage. "I do not wish to have to tell my parents you killed my younger brother." "Both brats are still breathing, and any injuries were self-inflicted," Kurenai shot back. "I finally used a jutsu to make them sit still, and when they refused to go to sleep I tied them up and put them in the bed." Kakashi and Itachi both dashed past Kurenai to check on the two boys. It turned out they had somehow managed to make themselves comfortable, even bound as they were, and were sleeping peacefully. With a sigh, Kakashi went back downstairs to find Kurenai gone, and the Niken were now surveying the damage. "We're heading to bed for the night, boss," Pakken said, and Kakashi nodded. The dogs tended to sleep either in his room or Naruto's since they weren't traditional summons. Luckily, they were smart enough to feed and let themselves out, so he never had to worry about anything other than making sure he kept their food stocks full. Kakashi stared at the mess for a while longer before deciding to leave it for after he woke up. Itachi came back down as he was heading up, Sasuke still sleeping across his back. I untied Naruto-kun as well, and tucked him into the bed properly. My apologies for this. After some sleep, Sasuke and I will come over to help repair it. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it at some point. It's not really that bad, Kakashi said, though he felt like he was lying, at least a little bit. Alright. I'll be by with my report regardless, Itachi said, and Kakashi just waved sleepily. Make sure to shut the door behind you. Once he had put his ANBU things away, he fell into bed, asleep before his head hit the pillow. Kakashi-san. Kakashi groaned as a knocking sound followed, with his name being called again. His mind fumbled for who would be calling him, and then it caught up, realizing it was Naruto. What? He half groaned, half called as he rolled out of his futon. I'm hungry. Can I cook breakfast? No. Absolutely not, Kakashi said, instantly awake and at the door in seconds. I'll be done shortly, so just wait for me, he said, opening it enough to see the boy standing there, still in his clothes from yesterday. Okay, Naruto said, turning and heading downstairs to wait, even though he had been waiting for a few hours as it was. Kakashi felt a little guilty as he realized this, getting changed as quickly as he could. Then he met Naruto in the kitchen, preparing a healthy brunch for both of them. As they ate, Kakashi thought back to the previous night, going over his mission once more, organizing the information he would need to write his report. Naruto ate quietly, seeing that Kakashi was preoccupied, though he started smiling as he remembered how much fun he had had the night before with Sasuke-kun. He had woken briefly when Sasuke's brother had come up to get him, but he had quickly fallen back to sleep after that. Realization washed over him as he realized the state he and Sasuke had left the living room in, not to mention their babysitter had been ready to kill them. His stomach seemed to turn into a pit, and he lost his appetite, setting the chopsticks down with an ill look on his face. The movement drew Kakashi's eye, and he nearly panicked when he saw the look on Naruto's face. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? There wasn't any poison in the food, I made sure of that. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, so please don't kick me out, Naruto practically cried. Naruto, calm down, Kakashi said, dropping his chopsticks and rushing to the child's side. He kneeled on the floor, with one knee down and the other up, putting him nearly face to face with the boy. What are you talking about? Why would I kick you out? Sasuke-kun and I broke the living room, the small boy wailed. Kakashi just sighed as he remembered the mess the kids had made. I knew I was forgetting something, he thought, though out loud he said, Naruto-kun, I am not going to kick you out just because you made a mess. But, Naruto-kun, Kakashi started, keeping his voice gentle and patient. I didn't kick you out when you and the Nikin got mud everywhere, did I? No. Then why would I do it this time? I don't know. That's because I wouldn't. While I hope you don't make a habit out of it, you're a kid, so it's probably going to happen every now and again. And even if you make me mad, I still wouldn't kick you out, Kakashi told him. You would just end up as a chew toy for Pakin for a week. Pakin wouldn't chew on me, Naruto retorted, instantly latching on the least important thing Kakashi had said. Kakashi just gave a short laugh and ruffled Naruto's hair. Well, we'd best get started cleaning up, kid. You've got a lot of it to do today, and I have a lot of work as well, Kakashi said, standing. Naruto gave him a bright smile and followed. Hi 3. What did you guys do to the living room anyway? We played ninja. In the end, Kakashi ended up making a clone to help Naruto fix up the living room as much as they could. The couch would need new cushions, and Kakashi would have to pick up some putty to mend the walls as well. As the clone finished, Kakashi was finishing looking over the reports his teams had left. It seemed they had rescued Hinata Hyuga, and her family was overjoyed to have her back. So much so that they had requested the Hokage allow them to thank the child's saviors personally. Luckily for him, the ANBU code prohibited disclosure of its members' identities, so he had gotten out of any uncomfortable situations. The other two teams had successfully eliminated their threats without any complications, finding ninja from Kiri and IWA. If their information was correct, they had managed to plant themselves as Leaf Ninja shortly after the Kyuubi's attack by taking on the identities of fallen ninja. As he mulled over the night's work, he realized how easily a child could be taken. The Hyuga girl had been within her own clan's compound, with many high-ranking ninja present. However, she had been too scared to even react, let alone put up a reasonable defense or help slow her kidnappers. Naruto probably wouldn't do much better actually, Kakashi thought with a grimace. He's used to running, so in that aspect he might be ahead, but there's no way he could protect himself. A feeling of unease ran through him and he ran his hand through his hair, trying to think. I should train him seriously. The Hokage asked me to protect him, and teaching him to take care of himself is just another part of that really. Not to mention it will make my job easier as he gets older. Decision made, Kakashi finished his reports, and then went to make lunch. Naruto was lying on the ruined couch, hand draped across his face. The clone had made him help as much as he could to right what he and Sasuke had broken, leaving him exhausted afterwards. His stomach growled as he heard noises in the kitchen, and soon a mouth-watering aroma drifted out to him. Practically drooling, he made his way to the kitchen to see Kakashi at the stove once more. "Kakashi-san, please tell me that's lunch." "I'm hungry," Naruto practically whined. Yes, it's lunch," Kakashi replied, his mouth twitching into a small grin. The kid would need his strength if he was going to survive what Kakashi had in mind for him starting that afternoon. Just as quickly as the thought passed through his mind, Kakashi frowned. He had agreed to care for his teacher's son out of a sense of guilt. And yet, in a mere 3 weeks, he had already come to care for him. Not only that, he was also planning for the boy's future. "Kakashi-san?" Naruto had barely whispered it, but Kakashi had heard him, and he also heard the hesitation in the voice. The child was almost hypersensitive when it came to the moods of adults around him, and Kakashi's sudden change had instantly set him on edge. "Yes, Naruto-kun? Are you okay?" The softness of Naruto's voice tugged at Kakashi's conscience and he sighed. "Naruto-kun, I'm fine. I was just thinking." To distract the boy, Kakashi served up the now finished lunch. It seemed to work as Naruto happily dug into the noodle dish. Kakashi fiddled with his food, trying to decide if it was really such a bad thing if he cared again. He had screwed up everything in his life before, but he had been a lot younger then, and less experienced. For his sake, I can't mess up this time. I absolutely cannot fail. Naruto watched him discreetly as he ate. He felt the boy's eyes on him as he navigated the maze that was his mind. And as he came to his conclusion, he realized that he was already facing his first major hurdle: trust. He has to be able to trust me not to overreact, not to get unreasonably angry, and even when I am angry he needs to know that I won't just abandon him. "Naruto-kun, listen, just because I'm in a bad mood, it doesn't mean it's your fault." Naruto now looked directly at him, though his eyes were unsure. Kakashi tried again, cursing himself for not being better at verbalizing the important things. "I won't get angry with you for something that wasn't your fault. If you know you haven't done anything wrong, and you think I'm unhappy, then it's from the mission or whatever else, not you. So you don't have to worry about it, alright?" Naruto nodded his head, but he still looked skeptical. Kakashi bit back another sigh, and resigned himself to proving it the hard way. Time was obviously the only thing that would change Naruto's mind. "Alright kid, we've got things to do, starting with taijutsu." The words were hardly out of his mouth when Naruto wolfed down his remaining food and had his plate to the sink. With a grin, Kakashi quickly downed his own food and washed the dishes. He kept a close eye on Naruto as the child put everything in the drying rack. The kid was practically vibrating with excitement, and he had no wish to make a trip to the hospital over broken glass. They couldn't be done soon enough in Naruto's opinion, and he ran out to the backyard as soon as the last dish was set into the rack. Kakashi followed slightly more sedately, whistling for any of the dogs nearby to report in. 4 of his pack appeared and he sent them off again with orders before joining Naruto. First things first, warm up. And with that Kakashi led Naruto through a series of stretches and basic exercises, gauging his stamina carefully. A short jog, some jumping jacks, and a few crunches later Kakashi deemed they were sufficiently warmed up for today's lesson. "Now, the first thing you are going to learn is to block, and then punch. For now, when you block you will always use this part of the arm," Kakashi said, squatting down to touch the thicker part of Naruto's forearm. "If you aren't careful, you'll hit your bone, so always be sure to block with the part with padding." Naruto nodded, eyes wide, as Kakashi showed him a scooping block and an across-the-body block. Then he showed him how to use the same part of his arm to block above his head. "So, you can block 3 different ways with this. We're going to start with this one," Kakashi said, doing the scooping block. "It will catch any punch sent to your body, and sweep it up and out, opening up your opponent for a counterattack. This is how you punch." Kakashi demonstrated a standard straight punch, and then walked Naruto through it, making corrections to his hand as the kid threw a few practice punches. "Okay, so I'm going to punch you, and you're going to block then punch. We'll alternate sides, so start with your right," Kakashi said, kneeling to get on the same level as the kid. "One last thing, your stance. When you fight, we use what's called a fighting stance, but for practice we're going to start with the horse stance. Put your legs wide apart and bend your knees." Naruto tried to comply, but fell over when his stance was too wide. Kakashi didn't laugh though, and helped him back up, using a kunai to put marks in the dirt where his feet should be. Their rhythm started out slow, with Naruto frequently fumbling the block, or forgetting the punch entirely. Then his body learned the movement, and Kakashi slowly increased the speed of his punch. He also put a little more force behind it to ensure the child would learn the correct way to block now. Better a few bruises than missing limbs due to a poor block. It was only when Naruto's arms felt like they were going to fall off that Kakashi finally let him stop, pulling out a bottle of water from somewhere and offering him a drink. "Still want to be a ninja?" Kakashi asked, noting the winces as Naruto moved his arms. "Of course," Naruto instantly responded. "Even if it is hard." Kakashi ruffled his hair and grinned. "That's good, because we're not done yet." Naruto bit back a groan, and took a deep breath, doing his best to put on a brave face. "It won't be that bad," Kakashi said, relenting. "We're going to attempt our experiment from the other day. Only this time I'll be going with you to point out the traps and show you how to avoid or disarm them." "Alright," Naruto said with a grin. Kakashi's instinct flared, and he quickly added on to his statement. We aren't going to use ourselves to disarm them either. No buts, Naruto-kun. If you were on a mission and set off a trap like that, not only could you hurt yourself, or your teammates, but you could cause the mission to fail. A good ninja does not sabotage his own team or job. Sasabata what? Sabotage. It means to break or ruin a thing on purpose. Like a mission. If you fail the mission on purpose, then that's sabotaging it. The only time it is okay to fail a mission purposefully is if you are saving your teammate, and even then, you should always try to finish the job and save them. Do you understand? Naruto looked thoughtful as Kakashi watched him mull over what had been said. Then he slowly nodded. Ninja do jobs, and we're supposed to finish the job, so no playing when we're doing a job. Exactly, Kakashi said, making a mental note to try this conversation again when he was a little older. His current understanding would do for now though, and Kakashi started walking towards the forest. Naruto smiled, proud of himself for understanding what Kakashi had been trying to tell him, and tailed behind the other nin. As they neared the forest, he made sure to stop well back of the first strip line that was strung across the pathway. Here is our first trap. This is a made from ninja wire strung across 2 points with the intent of either setting off another trap, or just outright tripping your enemy. The key things to remember with the wire is to always make sure that it is hard to see, and pay attention to your opponent's size. If the wire is in the sun, or is somewhere with a light-colored background, it will be very easy to see and go around. To demonstrate, Kakashi pulled some wire from his pouch and held it out in the sun. As for size, if I am trying to trip you, I have to put it lower to the ground because you're shorter. Otherwise it could hit you in the stomach, or someplace else. And if you were trying to trip me, you need it higher or I might run over it without ever touching it. Naruto nodded, trying to memorize everything Kakashi was saying. Okay, so what you need to remember is a trip line is made from ninja wire. And you need to pay attention to? Kakashi asked. Hiding it and the bad guy's size, Naruto answered. Good, Kakashi said, ruffling the boy's hair. Naruto smiled broadly, a feeling of confidence blooming inside of him. Now for today, I'll take them all down as we come to them. Once you've learned all of the different types of traps, I'll start teaching you to make them. And so for the next hour, Kakashi showed Naruto every basic trap a ninja used, along with a few more advanced ones. By the time they finished, even Naruto's vast reserves of energy were depleted. Dinner was quiet, as Naruto tried to stay awake and comically nearly failed multiple times. While Kakashi had intended to start working with him on his reading and writing as well, he quickly scratched that, and sent the pup to get ready for bed early, doing the dishes himself. As he went to check on Naruto, he found him already asleep with a few of the Niken curled around him. A soft smile stole across his face, making him shake his head. I'm going soft. If anyone had told me I'd be playing house with a brat even a few months ago, I'd have ignored them, or just chucked a kunai at them. And if I'm going to be honest with myself, even now I keep wondering if I'm doing this right. His hand slid through his hair, an odd tick he had picked up, but one he hadn't bothered to break. This could get very dangerous, for me and for him. With a shake of his head, he slipped out of Naruto's room and closed the door softly behind him. It was still early in the evening, and Naruto would be fine with the Niken to keep an eye on him. Kakashi grabbed his vest and set out into Konoha, hoping to clear his head a little and maybe figure out a little more about child rearing while he was at it. Kakashi ambled down the road, hands tucked into pockets as he looked around. Parents with their children were everywhere in Konoha, yet Kakashi had never noticed them before. Now he paid careful attention to the interactions. Kiss it, make it better? You've got to be kidding me. And I may not know much, but I do know that giving in when they're throwing a tantrum isn't good either. Kakashi kept his face bland even as his emotions flicked through disbelief to disgust. Eventually he came to a park and stopped, watching the havoc raised by the children there. The parents kept a seasoned eye on them, but didn't step in unless the situation became physical. When he tired of watching the park, he slipped away, heading towards the giant tower that stood above the rest of the buildings. It isn't time for your weekly report, Kakashi, the Hokage said with a smile as the silver-haired ninja walked in. I just wanted to let you know I'm starting Naruto's training. After the latest incident, I think it's better if he can take care of himself, Kakashi replied. Probably a good idea, though I dislike the need for it, the Hokage said. He looked Kakashi over before continuing on. That's not the only reason you're here though, is it? I guess I'm still having doubts about all of this, Kakashi admitted. Seeing the change in the Sandame's face, he hurried to add, I'm not going to send him away, nor do I want to. It's just I really have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't want to screw him up. Sarutobi's smile returned and he couldn't help but send silent thanks to Kami for the change. It was the first time since Minato's death that Kakashi had acted like the teenager he was instead of the overly distant ANBU he had become. All parents wonder if they're doing the right thing for their children. And until those children are grown, it is nearly impossible to tell if we chose the right path for them. Isn't there a manual or something for the basics at least? Kakashi grumbled, crossing his arms in a rare childish gesture. His smile grew larger if possible at Kakashi's antics, but he quickly hid it away as he answered. While there are plenty of books available, you will find that each child is different, and what works for one will not work for others. This will be especially true for Naruto-kun given his rare circumstances. Kakashi hesitated but then added, he doesn't trust me. So that's why he's here, Sarutobi thought, folding his hands in front of him as he thought over his ninja's predicament. Naruto-kun likes you. And in many ways he does trust you, at least as much as he is able. That is not a reflection of you as a caretaker, but rather a reflection of his past caretakers, so I do not think you should worry unduly about it. There will be little you can do to speed the process up, so for now you must be patient. I had figured as much, Kakashi admitted, his hand once again finding his hair. Then what do you need this old man's advice for? The Hokage said with a laugh. You have my permission to train him, although don't overdo it. If you run into any other problems you cannot solve yourself, you can come see me again. Otherwise I will see you for the weekly reports. Kakashi just nodded and started to cast a jutsu, and Kakashi be honest with him. Kakashi nodded again, and then vanished with a small poof. Keeping the Hokage's words in mind, Kakashi headed to the bookstore and picked out a few on parenting. If nothing else they should give him some ideas after all, and it couldn't hurt. On his way to the counter, he passed the children's section and couldn't help but pick out a few for Naruto as well. The woman at the register gave him an odd look as she rang him up, but he ignored her. Soon he was jumping from rooftop to rooftop on the path home. He had made it almost halfway there when he suddenly had a tail. Training took over and he changed direction, heading towards the forest and away from Naruto. Once he was far enough in, he stopped and waited for his company to catch up. Any reason you're following me in public, Weasel? No one else saw me, and I needed to speak with you, Weasel replied blandly. I have office hours. I didn't wish to wait. Fine. Follow me. With that said, Kakashi once again took off towards his home on the outskirts of Konoha, Itachi following closely behind. Itachi waited in the woods while Kakashi went in through the front door, checking on Naruto on his way to the office. Only when his office window was open did Itachi slip in and close it behind him. I think I'm beginning to understand how the Hokage feels when we come and go. Talk. I believe some members of the Uchiha clan are planning to revolt against the Hokage. For a precious few seconds Kakashi could only stare at Itachi, though the boy's face was hidden behind his ANBU mask. Then his mind started working again, and the potential damage this could cause unfolded in his mind. Why? The elders believe they are being slighted by the council, and they feel that as the police, they should have more influence, Itachi replied. I think there is more to it than that, but my relationship with ANBU has brought my loyalty to the clan in question. Is there anyone who could help you get the information you need? I may be able to convince Shursui-san to aid me. He is loyal first and foremost to Konoha, rather than to the clan, but the elders haven't seemed to have realized that. The elders have even assigned him to keep tabs on me, so communicating would not be difficult. See to it then, but proceed with the utmost caution. Itachi saluted and then was out the window once more, leaving Kakashi to his thoughts. If the Uchiha revolt, there will be utter chaos. We have to stop it, but if we don't handle this carefully, it will only end up a massacre. Kakashi watched with a grin as Naruto sped through breakfast. Today was a special day after all, and he didn't want to be late. The last month had passed all too quickly in Kakashi's mind. Between training Naruto and investigating the Uchiha, he had been hard put to keep up, and let's not forget training myself as though working with Naruto helped with that. He'll never be a genius the way Itachi or I were, but he's persistent, he couldn't help but think, and it was true. Kakashi had already decided he wouldn't be a parent that deluded himself where his charge was concerned. Naruto wasn't perfect, and the only way Kakashi could help him overcome his weaknesses was to admit they existed. He had run He Boy ragged until he understood what Naruto could and could not do, then he tailored their regimen to fit. This meant they spent their mornings on taijutsu and conditioning, along with the occasional day of trap making and weapons work. Then they would hit the books for the afternoon. Initially the book work had been the hardest. While Naruto could read and write a little, he got bored too easily or couldn't remember what he had read. So Kakashi had pored through the parenting books until he found a solution. For every successful study session, Kakashi would teach Naruto a new move, or how to set up a new trap. With his goal in mind, Naruto had managed to focus himself well enough to begin learning the shinobi code, the history of Konoha, and the basics of chakra theory. I think I'm as happy about school as he is too, though I'm sure he'll soon be bored of it, Kakashi mused as he washed the dishes, Naruto wiping them down quickly beside him. The hours had been grueling some days. He'd be up first thing with Naruto, and wouldn't come home until well after the child had fallen asleep. Although we got lucky when Shursui agreed to help. Itachi had returned after only 3 days to report that his fellow Uchiha had agreed to help them. Kakashi had held off informing the Hokage until he had more reliable information, but when Shursui himself showed up Kakashi had known it was time. The Hokage had assigned the mission to his team along with extending their previous one, and his too few nights of sleep were finally starting to take their toll. Kakashi-san, Kakashi-san? Yes, Naruto-kun? Kakashi barely restrained himself as he tried not to laugh at the kid. He was so excited he looked like he would pee himself at any moment. Sasuke-kun's going to be in my class too, right? Naruto asked, vibrating with sheer energy. I feel sorry for his teacher, Kakashi thought, though frankly he was glad it wasn't his turn to deal with it for once. Out loud he said, yes, Sasuke-kun will be in the same class as you. You guys will be with Iruka-sensei, so make sure both of you behave. Hey yai, Naruto playfully saluted, though Kakashi doubted it would mean anything later. The one bonus of the Uchiha investigation was the friendship that had formed between the boys. It had been the perfect excuse for Kakashi to visit the compound, and while the two would bicker occasionally, they always made up quickly. Come on, brat, let's get going, Kakashi said, letting his grin show now and taking a playful swipe at Naruto. The boy easily ducked, stuck his tongue out, and then ran to the living room to grab his backpack. The last month had also worked wonders for their relationship. Naruto had stopped flinching entirely, even on the rare occasion when Kakashi would raise his voice. He had stopped minding Kakashi's moments of brooding as well. In fact, if Kakashi let his mind wander too much, Naruto would forcefully drag him back when boredom got the better of him. And after enough buckets of water or various other objects thrown at me, I've amazingly stopped brooding entirely, he thought dryly. He walked to the door more sedately where the pack had gathered to see the boy off. Shiba had won the draw to actually go with Naruto to school, and his face was a huge grin of sharp pointy teeth. Naruto gave each of the others a hug or a pet, and then looked to Kakashi. Kakashi nodded and started walking, Naruto falling in step beside him with Shiba on the boy's other side. It's Sasuke-kun, Naruto practically shouted, pointing out the boy and his brother. Go on, Kakashi said, watching the boy dart forward with Shiba tailing him. When he finally caught up, Kakashi nodded to Itachi. Ohio Kakashi-san, Itachi said, his eyes showing his amusement. Hi Ohio. They sure are energetic this morning. The first day of school is the most exciting one generally, only because they haven't figured out how boring it is yet, Kakashi said with a snort. True, but it wouldn't do for us to ruin it for them, Itachi said, chiding him. While Kakashi was Itachi's commander, the younger ANBU had been a valuable source of advice for dealing with small children, having helped to raise his younger brother. If you say so, Kakashi said with a shrug, turning and walking towards the school. Itachi followed him, and seeing their caretakers start walking again, Naruto and Sasuke fell in besides them. Shiba will stay at school with you, though he isn't allowed in the classroom, Kakashi said as the first bell rang. You and Sasuke-kun are to walk home. I know. Sasuke-kun and I will walk home with Shiba to our house. Geez, I'm not 3, you know, Naruto whined, embarrassed. Alright, brat. Then have a good day, Kakashi said, ruffling his hair and shushing away. Shiba gave him a lick and then went to find a place to settle down for the day. Come on, Naruto-kun, Sasuke said, escaping from a similar conversation with his brother. You can't blame them for acting like that after all. Look at all the other parents. Naruto looked around and he realized Sasuke was right. Everywhere parents were crying or giving their kids one last reminder of piece of advice. Sheesh, they're the babies here. Sasuke snickered in agreement, though he'd never say it in front of his beloved brother. Nor would he admit that he was glad his brother had stayed as long as he had. Similar thoughts ran through Naruto's mind as the two walked into their new classroom. Iruka-sensei joined them before the second bell rang and ushered them to their seats. Naruto made sure to grab one of the seats next to Sasuke and then looked around. There's so many new people, he said cheerfully. A lot of clan kids are here too, Sasuke commented, smiling at Naruto's enthusiasm. Which ones? Other than you, I've never met any of the clan kids. Kakashi doesn't take me out to the big parks unless it's with you and Itachi and Ai-san, Naruto said softly. Well, we'll make friends now, Sasuke whispered back as Iruka started taking attendance. As the names were called, Sasuke pointed out each clan child, starting with Shino Aburame. He's from a bug user clan. They're all really quiet, but Nissan says never to underestimate them. Then there's Chuji Akimichi. The Akimichi clan is a bunch of cooks, but they have their own jutsus. The Hyuga clan has the Bakugan, which is like the Sharingan Nissan has. Inuzukas have their dogs. Naras are known for being really smart, but I don't know what else they do, and Yamanaka have jutsus that affect the mind. Wow, there's a lot of them, aren't there? Naruto said, odd that Sasuke could even remember them all. Yeah. I've met Kibakuin before at the park, but that's about it. Chuji-san normally plays with Shikamura-san, and Ino-san is with them a lot too because of their parents, Sasuke told him, though he quickly stopped talking as the lesson began. Naruto quickly focused as well, excited to finally begin his path as a ninja. After an hour, Naruto decided school was boring, and that he'd rather be doing lessons with Kakashi. After 2 hours, he had come to the realization that school must be some form of torture designed to prepare you for enemy interrogation, and he said as much to Sasuke. This caused Sasuke to snort at the exact moment Iruka-sensei had been explaining the formation of the village. When Iruka asked what Sasuke found so funny, Naruto couldn't help but jump to his defense, explaining his thinking to the teacher, which promptly landed both him and Sasuke a spot in the hall holding buckets of water until lunch. Man. This sucks, Naruto groaned, wishing lunch would come faster. They only had another 5 minutes or so and his arms were aching. Then don't get us in trouble, Sasuke retorted, his own aching arms causing him to be snappier than normal. I wasn't trying to. It really was that boring, and you know it. Not my fault the teacher didn't agree with me. At least I stood up for you. Sasuke just rolled his eyes at Naruto's grumbling, though he did appreciate his friend's gesture. Finally the lunch bell rang, and the two were freed from their vigil. They darted out into the playground along with their classmates, boring lectures now forgotten. Naruto wasted no time making Sasuke introduce him to Kiba, and after the three boys had wolfed their food down, they spent the rest of their time playing ninja. The afternoon passed only marginally faster, as they began their kunai and shuriken lessons. Iruka-sensei had each child take turns throwing both types of weapons, evaluating the overskill level of the class. Then he explained the basic concepts of weapon throwing to them before finally allowing them to start actually practicing. Naruto and Sasuke cringed over how badly the civilian children did, and they had quickly drifted over to throw with the other clan children. School eventually ended and the two boys found Shiba waiting for them outside. Woof. Hey Shiba, Naruto said, giving him a quick pet. Woof, it sucked, and I don't want to go again, Naruto said, scowling. Sasuke nodded in agreement, sticking his hands in his pocket to sulk. Shiba just laughed in his dog fashion and nudged Naruto. Alright, let's go home, Naruto said, and Sasuke fell in beside him as they started walking back. Itachi and Ai-san's going to come over tonight, right? He said he would, but he also said he had a mission too, Sasuke replied. Kakashi-san said he would be busy today too. He said he would be home for dinner though, and that the Nikan will keep us company. Better them than that last babysitter. Both boys shuddered as they remembered Kurenai's rage when they had trashed the living room. They hadn't been given a sitter other than the Nikan since, although Kakashi had warned Naruto that at some point they would have another one. Come on, race you there! Naruto suddenly shouted, taking off. Never one to run away from a challenge, Sasuke started after him, while Shiba jogged happily alongside them. Are you sure? The dark-haired man asked. Yes, sir. A small group of ANBU is investigating the Uchiha, a masked figure responded. Who is leading them? Kakashi Hatake. And the ANBU involved? We believe Weasel is helping, though the Uchiha say their watcher denies this. Who is watching him? Shursui Uchiha. Who else? We're not sure. Cat is probably helping, since Hatake was his mentor, but all of their movements have been discreet. I see. Gather the others and look into it more closely. Also put someone on the brat Hatake looks after, and Weasel's little brother as well. Hi, dismissed. Kakashi felt Shiba's return and seconds later Naruto burst through the door with Sasuke hot on his heels. Tadaima, Okiri Naruto-kun, Kakashi said, smothering a wince at the loud noise. How was school, you two? Burring, Naruto instantly replied, dropping his bag by the door. And Iruka-sensei yelled at us when I told him I thought school was a form of torture to toughen us up. I see, Kakashi said, hiding a grin. And how far in the day did you make it before that happened? Not even to lunch, Sasuke replied when Naruto looked away and didn't answer. Kakashi just sighed. Naruto-kun, I know it isn't going to seem fun, but it is important if you want to be a ninja, just like eating your vegetables. But Kakashi-san, I already know what sensei was teaching us. You already taught me it. I'm sure the refresher will only help Naruto-kun. You cannot have too much information as a ninja. No matter how boring or how unimportant it may seem, you must always do your best to remember it, because it could mean the difference between life and death on the field, Kakashi told him, his voice unyielding. Or even worse, your comrade's life. Naruto quieted at that, and thought over what Kakashi had said. Sasuke's mind was also furiously at work as both boys thought through scenarios where the information could be important. Finally Naruto's shoulders drooped, and the young boy looked at his feet. I'm sorry, Kakashi-san. I'll do better next time, I promise, he said sincerely. I know it's hard, Naruto-kun, but it is important. Tell you what, I'll teach the two of you a game that my sensei taught my team when we'd get bored on long missions. Really? Naruto's face lit up and even Sasuke looked on with interest. Yes, really. It's quite simple, and since there are two of you, you can even turn it into a competition, Kakashi told them with a smile. Now the rules are simple. You must gather as much information as you can, and the one with the most information at the end of the day wins. This includes notes from your lectures, observations made about the teacher and students, and even things you see going on outside. But you can't get caught. If anyone other than your teammate sees your notes on anything but the school work while you're there, you lose. Also, if you fail to take complete lecture notes, you lose points as well. So do you think you guys can do that? Hi. While Sasuke's response was quietly, Kakashi could already see the planning going on behind his calm demeanor. Wonder how long that will keep them occupied. A week, maybe two at the most. I better start coming up with other games for them as well, or I'm going to be getting to know Iruka better than I would want. With a shake of his head, Kakashi smiled and walked towards the kitchen. It was time to start making dinner. Itachi arrived right as dinner finished cooking, slipping in through an open window Kakashi had left for him. After questioning the boys and getting the same response Kakashi had, Itachi merely sighed and focused on eating. Kakashi could tell he was exhausted from his last mission, probably did what I did, and hurried right back. I just got lucky and actually beat the boys home. With that in mind, Kakashi made sure to shoo the two brothers home shortly after dinner, telling Itachi he could report in the next day. Naruto's energy was finally beginning to wane as well, so he sent the boy to bed early and decided to actually work on some of the reports he had been putting off. He had barely made it to his office when he felt a presence testing the boundaries of one of his barriers. Now what have we here? Kakashi made his way stealthily to the window and looked out. When he didn't see anything, slipped out and headed around the house, searching for the intruder. The moonless night hit him well, and soon he found his prey. A kunai appeared in his hand, and the world held still for just a moment before he leapt forward to attack. The Watcher never stood a chance, and Kakashi had him unconscious before he even realized the elite jounin was there. A feral grin spread on Kakashi's face as he summoned Pakken and sent him to find the nearest ANBU from his squad. His dog returned with snake in tow, and Kakashi's grin grew larger. "You called, boss?" Enko asked with a lazy salute. "It seems someone was trying to spy on my home," Kakashi told her lazily. "I am most interested as to who would be dumb enough to try that. Why don't you take him and find Bear? Between the two of you I'm sure you'll be able to learn something." "Oh, now that sounds fun. Can I bring Cat along to watch? He gets so squeamish." Kakashi rolled his eyes and made a shooing motion. "Just take care of this for me." Hi boss." "Whatever you say. Report in tomorrow." However, Anko was already gone, the body vanishing with her. Just to be on the safe side, Kakashi walked the perimeter, searching for any signs of unwanted visitors. Satisfied there were none, he slipped back in through his window, closing it behind him. He made a quick circuit of the house too, stopping in Naruto's room last. As he looked over the sleeping boy, a soft smile settled on his face. Minutes ticked by as he watched the boy's chest rise and fall, and a feeling of contentment filled him. That warm feeling caused others to stir, ones that he hadn't felt so strongly since his teacher had died. "Whoever sent that Watcher is going to learn very quickly to stay away from us. I won't let anyone harm one of my precious people." The next morning Naruto chattered away as he prepared for school, and once again the Niken waited to see him off. Kakashi walked him to school, bringing 2 of the Niken with him to keep watch during the day. He stayed alert for any signs of Watchers, but it seemed whoever had sent the first one had either given up or not realized his spy was missing yet. "I'll be picking you and Sasuke-kun up today," Kakashi told Naruto as they came to the school gates. The boy groaned in response and started to whine, only to have Kakashi stop him with a gesture. "No complaints, brat, now get to class." Kakashi ruffled Naruto's hair fondly, and the boy stuck out his tongue, darting off to join Sasuke and Kiba as they headed in. Kakashi watched as the other 2 boys welcomed his charge and then turned. He had a report to look over. It didn't take him long to return home and open his window. As if on cue, his entire team came in, each carrying a scroll to hand in. Rather than reading them though, he motioned for Bear to start. "We've extracted all the information we could from the one who was spying on you, though it wasn't much." The man had a seal on his tongue, preventing him from speaking of both Danzo and Root. Bear said, "It confirms the identity of our opposition at least." "What did you manage to find out?" "The target was Naruto-kun, and they were supposed to be keeping watch on him. No orders were given for any other actions to be taken at this time. Also, a watcher has been assigned to Sasuke Uchiha, since Danzo suspects Itachi Uchiha of being involved." Weasel stiffened slightly at the mention of his brother but otherwise did not react. Kakashi's eyes narrowed as he asked the obvious question. "Involved in what?" They did not know, but he had received his orders the same time as Sasuke's watcher, so he overheard that much, Bear said, and Kakashi could hear the frown from behind the mask. "The only thing Itachi has been involved in lately has been our investigation, and I failed to see why Root would care about the Uchiha unless they are involved as well," Kakashi mused aloud. "After our meeting I want Cat and Snake to capture the rat sneaking around Sasuke. Perhaps have a word or 2 with it before you dispose of the trash." The 2 nodded and Kakashi motioned to Weasel next. "Our informant sends word that while no date has been set the clan has already begun stockpiling weapons. I have a map with all of the locations and strength marked. I've included it in the report. Also, the elders do have a meeting set for next week, though only the highest echelons know of it." "Good job. You and Bear will be responsible for emptying these caches mysteriously throughout the next week, though I do not want you seen and no casualties either." They nodded and Kakashi now turned to Cat and Rabbit. Rabbit spoke up first after looking to Cat. "From what I have learned, the council has been slowly undermining the Uchiha's power. The third is doing all he can to oppose it, but the civilian councilors, backed by Danzo, are forcing the issue. Among the ninja there is no sign of dissension though," Cat said. "Even throughout the ANBU I have not been able to find any sign of disturbance. So we need to take care of this little problem at its very roots," Kakashi said, crossing his arms and leaning back in his chair. "We're going to need more help, I'm afraid. Each of you is to nominate 3 members of ANBU that you would trust with your life. They will work underneath you, so choose carefully. Bring me your choices by tomorrow. Time is short, so it is imperative none of you are caught from here on out. Rabbit, I need to go out tonight, so you will guard Naruto for me. Since the Uchihas don't like me much, I'm afraid I can't assign an official guard to Sasuke, but I will see that the clan is alerted to his danger discreetly." All of them nodded, recognizing the dismissal, and headed for the window. Once they were gone he opened the report scrolls they had left him, reading through the more detailed versions of what he had already heard. He absently made notes to himself as he thought over everything. Why is Danzo so deeply involved in the Uchiha's uprising? He's always claiming everything is for the good of Konoha, but I don't see how civil war could be good no matter how crazy you are. A ninja must look underneath. The underneath is what you taught us, sensei. Now I just wish you were here to show me how I'm being blind. Kakashi went back to work, settling in to actually be productive until it was time to pick Naruto up from school. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sasuke had just started their new game. Both scribbled furiously as they not only took notes on Iruka's lesson, but on the behavior of their classmates. Sasuke even came up with putting the time with it, so that he could mark down the same classmate's behavior multiple times. Once Naruto saw this, he quickly copied it. From the front of the classroom, Iruka watched the two out of the corner of his eyes. Whereas neither had taken any notes the day before, they seemed to have turned it around overnight, and were paying attention like prize students. He smiled internally and continued his lecture on the formation of the 5 great nations and their hidden villages. When he finally broke for lunch, neither Naruto nor Sasuke stopped writing until he finally stood in front of them. Both of them blushed and quickly packed up their notes, darting outside to join the other children. "Phew, that was close," Naruto whispered to Sasuke as they walked towards Kiba. "We'll have to memorize anything we can't write down right away, I guess," Sasuke said with a nod. "Otherwise we'll get caught." "Agreed." "The same goes for lunch too," Naruto said, realizing that there was no way to write anything down without being noticed. They had lunch with Kiba again, this time also joined by Shino. After their food was gone and bento set to the side, they all joined in a larger game of ninja with the other clan children. After lunch, Naruto and Sasuke furiously scrambled to write down what had happened, what was happening, and the lecture all at the same time. At the end of the day, both had a stack of notes and sore hands but overall felt quite proud of themselves. Iruka even complimented them on how well they had paid attention, though this had just caused them to grin at each other. Kakashi felt Shiba's return and seconds later Naruto burst through the door with Sasuke hot on his heels. "Tadaima, Okiri Naruto-kun," Kakashi said, smothering a wince at the loud noise. "How was school, you two?" "Boring," Naruto instantly replied, dropping his bag by the door. "And Iruka-sensei yelled at us when I told him I thought school was a form of torture to toughen us up." "I see," Kakashi said, hiding a grin. "And how far in the day did you make it before that happened?" "Not even to lunch," Sasuke replied when Naruto looked away and didn't answer. Kakashi just sighed. "Naruto-kun, I know it isn't going to seem fun, but it is important if you want to be a ninja, just like eating your vegetables." "But Kakashi-san, I already know what sensei was teaching us." "You already taught me it. I'm sure the refresher will only help Naruto-kun. You cannot have too much information as a ninja. No matter how boring or how unimportant it may seem, you must always do your best to remember it, because it could mean the difference between life and death on the field," Kakashi told him, his voice unyielding. "Or even worse, your comrade's life." Naruto quieted at that, and thought over what Kakashi had said. Sasuke's mind was also furiously at work as both boys thought through scenarios where the information could be important. Finally Naruto's shoulders drooped, and the young boy looked at his feet. "I'm sorry, Kakashi-san. I'll do better next time, I promise," he said sincerely. "I know it's hard, Naruto-kun, but it is important. Tell you what, I'll teach the two of you a game that my sensei taught my team when we'd get bored on long missions." "Really?" Naruto's face lit up and even Sasuke looked on with interest. "Yes, really. It's quite simple, and since there are 2 of you, you can even turn it into a competition," Kakashi told them with a smile. "Now the rules are simple. You must gather as much information as you can, and the one with the most information at the end of the day wins. This includes notes from your lectures, observations made about the teacher and students, and even things you see going on outside. But you can't get caught. If anyone other than your teammate sees your notes on anything but the school work while you're there, you lose. Also, if you fail to take complete lecture notes, you lose points as well. So do you think you guys can do that?" Hi. While Sasuke's response was quietly, Kakashi could already see the planning going on behind his calm demeanor. "Wonder how long that will keep them occupied. A week, maybe 2 at the most. I better start coming up with other games for them as well, or I'm going to be getting to know Iruka better than I would want." With a shake of his head, Kakashi smiled and walked towards the kitchen. It was time to start making dinner. Itachi arrived right as dinner finished cooking, slipping in through an open window Kakashi had left for him. After questioning the boys and getting the same response Kakashi had, Itachi merely sighed and focused on eating. Kakashi could tell he was exhausted from his last mission. "Probably did what I did, and hurried right back. I just got lucky and actually beat the boys home." With that in mind, Kakashi made sure to shoo the 2 brothers home shortly after dinner, telling Itachi he could report in the next day. Naruto's energy was finally beginning to wane as well, so he sent the boy to bed early and decided to actually work on some of the reports he had been putting off. He had barely made it to his office when he felt a presence testing the boundaries of one of his barriers. Now what have we here?" Kakashi made his way stealthily to the window and looked out. When he didn't see anything, slipped out and headed around the house, searching for the intruder. The moonless night hid him well, and soon he found his prey. A kunai appeared in his hand, and the world held still for just a moment before he leapt forward to attack. The Watcher never stood a chance, and Kakashi had him unconscious before he even realized the elite Jounin was there. A feral grin spread on Kakashi's face as he summoned Pakken and sent him to find the nearest ANBU from his squad. His dog returned with snake in tow, and Kakashi's grin grew larger. You called boss? Anko asked with a lazy salute. It seems someone was trying to spy on my home, Kakashi told her lazily. I am most interested as to who would be dumb enough to try that. Why don't you take him, and find Bear? Between the two of you I'm sure you'll be able to learn something. Oh, now that sounds fun. Can I bring Cat along to watch? He gets so squeamish. Kakashi rolled his eyes and made a shooing motion. Just take care of this for me. Hi boss. Whatever you say. Report in tomorrow. However, Anko was already gone, the body vanishing with her. Just to be on the safe side, Kakashi walked the perimeter, searching for any signs of unwanted visitors. Satisfied there were none, he slipped back and through his window, closing it behind him. He made a quick circuit of the house too, stopping in Naruto's room last. As he looked over the sleeping boy, a soft smile settled on his face. Minutes ticked by as he watched the boy's chest rise and fall, and a feeling of contentment filled him. That warm feeling caused others to stir, ones that he hadn't felt so strongly since his teacher had died. Whoever sent that watcher is going to learn very quickly to stay away from us. I won't let anyone harm one of my precious people. The next morning Naruto chattered away as he prepared for school, and once again the Nikken waited to see him off. Kakashi walked him to school, bringing 2 of the Nikken with him to keep watch during the day. He stayed alert for any signs of watchers, but it seemed whoever had sent the first one had either given up or not realized his spy was missing yet. I'll be picking you and Sasuke-kun up today, Kakashi told Naruto as they came to the school gates. The boy groaned in response and started to whine, only to have Kakashi stop him with a gesture. No complaints, brat, now get to class. Kakashi ruffled Naruto's hair fondly, and the boy stuck out his tongue, darting off to join Sasuke and Kiba as they headed in. Kakashi watched as the other 2 boys welcomed his charge and then turned. He had a report to look over. It didn't take him long to return home and open his window. As if on cue, his entire team came in, each carrying a scroll to hand in. Rather than reading them though, he motioned for Bear to start. We've extracted all the information we could from the one who was spying on you, though it wasn't much. The man had a seal on his tongue, preventing him from speaking of both Danzo and Root. Bear said. It confirms the identity of our opposition at least. What did you manage to find out? The target was Naruto-kun, and they were supposed to be keeping watch on him. No orders were given for any other actions to be taken at this time. Also, a watcher has been assigned to Sasuke Uchiha, since Danzo suspects Itachi Uchiha of being involved. Weasel stiffened slightly at the mention of his brother but otherwise did not react. Kakashi's eyes narrowed as he asked the obvious question. Involved in what? They did not know, but he had received his orders the same time as Sasuke's watcher, so he overheard that much, Bear said, and Kakashi could hear the frown from behind the mask. The only thing Itachi has been involved in lately has been our investigation, and I failed to see why Root would care about the Uchiha unless they are involved as well, Kakashi mused aloud. After our meeting I want Cat and Snake to capture the rat sneaking around Sasuke. Perhaps have a word or 2 with it before you dispose of the trash. The 2 nodded and Kakashi motioned to Weasel next. Our informant sends word that while no date has been set, the clan has already begun stockpiling weapons. I have a map with all of the locations and strength marked. I've included it in the report. Also, the elders do have a meeting set for next week, though only the highest echelons know of it. Good job. You and Bear will be responsible for emptying these caches mysteriously throughout the next week, though I do not want you seen and no casualties either. They nodded and Kakashi now turned to Cat and Rabbit. Rabbit spoke up first after looking to Cat. From what I have learned, the council has been slowly undermining the Uchiha's power. The third is doing all he can to oppose it, but the civilian councilors, backed by Danzo, are forcing the issue. Among the ninja there is no sign of dissension though, Cat said. Even throughout the ANBU I have not been able to find any sign of disturbance. So we need to take care of this little problem at its very roots, Kakashi said, crossing his arms and leaning back in his chair. We're going to need more help, I'm afraid. Each of you is to nominate 3 members of ANBU that you would trust with your life. They will work underneath you, so choose carefully. Bring me your choices by tomorrow. Time is short, so it is imperative none of you are caught from here on out. Rabbit, I need to go out tonight, so you will guard Naruto for me. Since the Uchihas don't like me much, I'm afraid I can't assign an official guard to Sasuke, but I will see that the clan is alerted to his danger discreetly. All of them nodded, recognizing the dismissal, and headed for the window. Once they were gone he opened the report scrolls they had left him, reading through the more detailed versions of what he had already heard. He absently made notes to himself as he thought over everything. Why is Danzo so deeply involved in the Uchiha's uprising? He's always claiming everything is for the good of Konoha, but I don't see how civil war could be good no matter how crazy you are. A ninja must look underneath the underneath is what you taught us, sensei. Now I just wish you were here to show me how I'm being blind. Kakashi went back to work, settling in to actually be productive until it was time to pick Naruto up from school. Meanwhile Naruto and Sasuke had just started their new game. Both scribbled furiously as they not only took notes on Irika's lesson, but on the behavior of their classmates. Sasuke even came up with putting the time with it, so that he could mark down the same classmate's behavior multiple times. Once Naruto saw this, he quickly copied it. From the front of the classroom, Iruka watched the two out of the corner of his eyes. Whereas neither had taken any notes the day before, they seemed to have turned it around overnight, and were paying attention like prize students. He smiled internally and continued his lecture on the formation of the 5 great nations and their hidden villages. When he finally broke for lunch, neither Naruto nor Sasuke stopped writing until he finally stood in front of them. Both of them blushed and quickly packed up their notes, darting outside to join the other children. "Phew, that was close," Naruto whispered to Sasuke as they walked towards Kiba. "We'll have to memorize anything we can't write down right away, I guess," Sasuke said with a nod. "Otherwise we'll get caught." "Agreed." "The same goes for lunch too," Naruto said, realizing that there was no way to write anything down without being noticed. They had lunch with Kiba again, this time also joined by Shino. After their food was gone and bento set to the side, they all joined in a larger game of ninja with the other clan children. After lunch, Naruto and Sasuke furiously scrambled to write down what had happened, what was happening, and the lecture all at the same time. At the end of the day, both had a stack of notes and sore hands but overall felt quite proud of themselves. Iruka even complimented them on how well they had paid attention, though this had just caused them to grin at each other. Kakashi left early to pick the boys up, swinging by the memorial stone as he did. Having a living ball of energy to look after and constant missions had eaten away at his time, even if he was late to everything. His eyes immediately found the names he sought, and he brushed his fingers gently over them. "Sorry it's been such a long time. Sensei, your brat has more energy than you and Kushina-san combined, so it's all I can do to keep up. Your family is doing well, Obito. Itachi and Shursui are growing up well, and Itachi is even looking after Sasuke now." He closed his eyes, picturing each of his comrades and the things they had used to do. Insults, rivalries came first, causing him to grin at his own childishness, and then he would remember the times they had gotten along. Ramen nights out with Sensei or training in the woods. With a glance to the sky, Kakashi realized he needed to get going. "I'll come again, I promise. The boys are waiting for me now though, and for this I probably shouldn't be late." With one last glance at the stone, Kakashi shushined away, reappearing in front of the school right as the final bell rang. Children began pouring out, and it didn't take him long to find the bright yellow tuft that marked his charge. He waited against the gate as Naruto and Sasuke made their way over, huge grins on their faces. "I hope they didn't get into something again. Their last game ruined my living room. Though I suppose I can only blame myself for this one." "Kakashi-san, you're on time. You really don't have to be so surprised, Naruto-kun. I've gotten you to school on time for the past 2 days, haven't I?" Kakashi said with amusement. "Well, yeah, but still, it's kinda weird." Kakashi just ruffled his hair and gestured for the boys to follow. His 2 Nikin fell in behind them as they left the school, with Naruto and Sasuke comparing notes the whole way home. Once there, both boys quickly pulled out their stacks of notes and handed them expectantly to Kakashi to look at. Reluctantly he took them and then plopped on the couch to read them while the boys did their homework at the small coffee table. "That's it. I declare today a draw because the information is so disorganized I can't understand any of it," Kakashi said after about half an hour of trying to figure out what had gone on. "For tomorrow, I want lecture notes on 1 page, and observations on another. That is, unless you want to rewrite them after school each day before turning them into myself or Itachi-san." "What's disorganized?" Naruto asked, and Kakashi ran a hand through his hair. "It means everything is a mess. It isn't in order, but it is in order." "That's exactly how things happened today, from the start until the end," Naruto argued. "If I needed to just see what today's lecture was about, would I be able to do that easily?" Kakashi countered. "Or what if I needed to see only what a certain classmate had done? You'd have to read through all of it," Sasuke answered sullenly. "Exactly. This will be good practice for when you write reports as ninjas. Put all of the things you learn that are about the same thing together. This means what Iruka-sensei teaches should be separate from what Shikamaru-kun or Ino-chan did," Kakashi explained patiently. "For now you can put what your classmates do together, since you won't have as much information on them, and your primary objective is still the lecture." "Pri what?" Naruto couldn't help but ask, scratching his head. "Primary objective. Think of it like the whole point of the mission. The job that you are supposed to do," Kakashi said, mentally kicking himself for not lowering his vocabulary to match theirs. Both boys scrunched their faces but eventually nodded in understanding. "All right. Good first attempt, and judging by the stack of papers, you definitely got the intel we were looking for, so now let's focus on making it easy to read." Both boys smiled at the compliment, and then turned back to their homework. Kakashi meanwhile found each of them a binder and stuffed the notes into it. "This way we can keep track of their improvement if nothing else. Who knows, maybe they'll learn something interesting one day." With a grin at the thought of ANBU using academy kids for informants, he headed into the kitchen to make dinner. As he was pulling the pans he would need out, it struck him just how much like a housewife he had become. "Please don't tell me that means Itachi's my husband." With a sigh he grabbed the food from the fridge and began preparing it, muttering to himself the entire time. The next day flew by, with Kakashi dropping Naruto at school and then sorting through reports once more. Sasuke and Naruto also concentrated on their task, and when they got home Kakashi was handed 2 neat piles of information to read. They learned fast, he couldn't help but think, slightly odd. Was this how his father had felt teaching him? Today I think Naruto actually wins though. He managed to notice the extra ninja walking around outside the academy during the afternoon lesson. Sasuke didn't mention them at all, though he did get more detailed notes on of the lecture. Firstly, both of you did a good job. It was easy to read and well sorted. While it was a close call, I'm going to give it to Naruto-kun today for noticing the ninja working on the playground, Kakashi said. Both boys lit up at his compliment, and Naruto's grin grew even bigger when he was declared winner. Sasuke grumbled a little and crossed his arms. Oh, come on Sasuke, I'm sure you'll beat me tomorrow, Naruto told his friend when he saw the face Sasuke was making. It was only because I sit closer to the window that I noticed at all. Sasuke accepted this and both boys hurried to finish their homework so they could play before Itachi came to take Sasuke home. The following morning started out peacefully enough. However, Kakashi would wonder afterwards how he had not realized how things were going to go so wrong. Naruto had woken up early for once, and they made it to school with time to spare. Bull and Akino were on guard duty for the day, and both settled lazily in the trees. His team reported in without issue, although they hadn't managed to get much out of the other spy they had captured. The village seemed to have stilled, and there was little new information to be had, so he dismissed them and gave them the rest of the day off. Which actually translated to go train your new recruits and fill them in. He had approved every choice they had made with hardly a glance, fully trusting in his squad to know what they were doing. Just as he was getting ready to visit the memorial stone before picking up Naruto, a messenger came from the Hokage's tower requesting his immediate presence. He took his time getting there. After all, it was 2 hours until Naruto was out of school. When he found the full council in session, he bit back an internal groan but settled in to wait. If anything, he could always leave and come back without most of them noticing. Kakashi Hatake, a cold voice said, startling him out of his thoughts. We called you here because the council would like an update on the Jinchuriki. Hi. What would you like to know, Danzo-san? Kakashi asked, keeping his voice bland. The boy has entered the academy, and you have begun training him, have you not? He has, and I have, Kakashi affirmed, though he failed to see why he needed to be summoned before a full council to confirm this. And does he show any talent at the ninja arts? Koharu asked. While he is not a genius, he will do well in time. He is determined and has the potential to make jounin eventually, Kakashi said, bristling at her blasé tone. And will you be able to ensure that he does? Another of the civilian council members asked. Kakashi blinked at the man and couldn't keep the disbelief off of his face. Forgive me for asking this council member, but do you know who I am? You are Kakashi Hatake. I am also known as the Copy Ninja, who has copied over 1,000 techniques. Creator of the Chidori, I graduated from the academy at 5, was a chunin by age 6 and a jounin during the 3rd Shinobi War. I have survived behind enemies' lines and have one of the highest rankings in enemy bingo books, Kakashi explained slowly, a mild killing intent drifting off of him. If anyone is capable of training a good ninja, it is surely me, and I would not take kindly to anyone suggesting otherwise. Nor would I recommend you suggesting removing Naruto from my custody. His voice had gone deadly quiet at that last sentence, and his one eye was cold and empty. Whatever the councilman would have said was interrupted by Bull bursting through the doors with Akino hot on his tails. Boss, trouble. Pup's been kidnapped, Akino half growled, blood dripping down her side. They managed to catch us off balance. Sasuke-kun's been taken too. Kakashi's mind froze for only a moment before he bit his thumb and summoned the rest of his pack. He quickly dispersed them with summons for his team to meet him at the spot the boys had gone missing from. I'm going after them, he said to the Hokage, giving a quick bow. Without a word to anyone else, he shushined away, taking Bull and Akino with him. Naruto groaned as his pounding head woke him. His eyes fluttered open and he stared dazedly at a strange ceiling. It was dark in the room, with barely any light filtering through. As his eyes adjusted, he realized it was enough that he could see by. With a grimace, he tried to push himself up only to fall back on his side as pain exploded behind his eyes. When it finally subsided enough for him to open his eyes again, he saw Sasuke lying a few feet from him. Panic tightened his throat as he saw blood trailing down the boy's face. Calling up what strength he could, he dragged himself over until he was close enough to touch his friend. Sasuke, Naruto called softly, his voice hoarse. Sasuke, wake up. The dark-haired boy didn't respond at all, and Naruto hesitantly reached out, placing his hand on Sasuke's cheek. It felt cold, so Naruto pulled himself even closer until he could hold Sasuke, drawing the boy into a partial hug to try and warm him back up. Tears trickled down Naruto's face as the fear took over, and he clung tighter to Sasuke, all the while wishing someone would wake him up from this nightmare. Eventually the strain was too much, and he slipped back into darkness, his last thoughts spent hoping Kakashi was alright. Kakashi's team met him within minutes of his arrival. Already his hounds were sniffing around, but all of them reported the same thing. None of them could find the kid's scent at all. What's happened? Kat asked once all of them were there. I was called to a meeting with the council. While there's someone kidnapped Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, Kakashi said softly, managed to say calmly. All of back stiffened around him as the killing intent rolled off of him in waves. But we're going to get them back, and when we do, we'll have a nice chat with the idiot who took them. They must be suicidal, Snake said with a laugh. After all, you even gave them a polite warning to stay away. The kid gloves are off now. Take your teams and spread out using this point as your epicenter. The dogs lost their scent here, which means a ninja took them. When you find them, report in. Weasel, your team is with me. Meet me back here in 10. They all nodded and took off, running over roofs to gather their new recruits. Kakashi's every movement was deliberate as he returned to his home and pulled a box out of the closet. With a small burst of chakra, he released the locking seals and traps and opened the lid. Lying inside looking up at him was his ANBU dog mask. In 5 minutes he was fully dressed in his ANBU uniform and armor. As he turned to leave, he stopped once more and walked over to his bookshelf, pulling his father's legacy blade off of its stand. He beat the other teams back, and sent his dogs out to try to find any scent to work with while he looked over a map of Konoha he had brought with him. As the others slowly started arriving, he made his decision and nodded to himself. Cat, your team will cover the northern section of the town, from the market to the Hokage Tower. Snake, you have the eastern half and the training grounds. Bear, take the south but stop at the walls for now. Rabbit, that leaves the western parts to you, but be careful of the clan territories. If they deny you entrance, I'll speak with the Hokage but leave it for now. Something tells me they aren't involved anyway, so don't waste your time searching there. Weasel's team is with me. We're going to be cross-searching and watching from the shadows. Each team saluted before taking off in a blur. Kakashi motioned for Weasel's team to follow him, and they set out for the perimeter of Konoha. We're going to do a little recon outside of the village first, just to be sure they haven't left. Once we do a circuit, we'll start heading back inwards until we reach the tower and the stone faces, Kakashi said. You think they're likely to still be in Konoha? One of the newest members asked. Kakashi looked over his shoulder, seeing that it was Bird who had spoken up. Yes. The team has been investigating a series of spies, and the two that were taken both have bonds to two of the members they have been able to identify, Kakashi finally answered. We'll make them pay, Bird swore, disgusted that someone had betrayed a fellow ANBU. It's bad enough to have our enemies after us, but for our comrades to act like this, we will show them the errors of their way, Weasel assured her, his killer intent causing the three newest members to shiver a little. Kakashi just nodded in agreement and focused on picking up a scent. By night time they had circled the entire city and found nothing, so they headed back inside Konoha's boundaries. The other teams had also finished a district each and were working on the next one. When midnight finally came around, Kakashi decided it was time to rest. He called in half of the teams and sent them off with orders to regroup at dawn. Meanwhile the rest continued searching until rays of light peeked over the horizon. When his replacement teams arrived, he sent the others off for much-needed rest. Kakashi contemplated joining another team, but Itachi refused to rest until he did, and already his body was dragging from the strain. A part of him screamed for stopping before Naruto had been found, but as he was, he'd be useless, so he forced himself to sleep for 5 hours before rejoining his team in the search. A scraping sound drifted to his ears and Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes. It was odd for Kakashi not to put him to bed when he fell asleep anywhere else. Kakashi! Wait, where am I? He sat up, looked around frantically, and the day's events came back to him. His heart sped as fear raced through him again, while his arms grabbing back onto Sasuke. It was the same dark room he had thought was nothing but a nightmare. The scraping sound cut through the silence again, and Naruto couldn't stop a whimper from escaping his throat. Oh good, one of you is finally awake, a voice said from beyond the bars. I was getting worried that both of you were dead. Tears leaked from the corners of Naruto's eyes even as he fought not to shed them. The voice held a tone that Naruto knew all too well, one that he had learned to fear before Kakashi had taken him in. The villagers had always spoken like that when they had hurt him. What's this? I would have thought with the Hatake raising you, you would have more backbone than that. Instead you're nothing but a crybaby, the voice taunted. Distantly Naruto realized how odd the voice sounded, almost as if it was muffled by something. Slowly, a thin man wearing a strange mask and ninja-style clothing stepped up to the bars and held up a hand. Chakra pulled there and let off a light, allowing him to see further into their cage. Malice radiated off of him, and Naruto tried to shrink even further in on himself. Don't worry, I won't kill you yet. I still have too many uses for you and the other brat. Now make sure you eat and keep your strength up, the man said, taunting him once more as he created an opening in the bars. A tray of food was slid through, and then the bars closed again. If you don't, I'll be forced to feed you myself. The tears streamed freely now and Naruto couldn't stop shaking even after the man left. Kakashi, Naruto repeated to himself as he cried. I want Kakashi. I want to go home. Sasuke woke to find Naruto still crying and shaking silently over him. As he looked around, he realized what had happened. The pit of his stomach turned and his own eyes turned glassy. However, he bit back his tears and pulled himself up enough to pull Naruto into a hug, just like his brother had done for him when he was scared. It'll be okay, Sasuke said, not able to keep the slight quiver from his voice. Itachi and Aizen will definitely come find us. And Kakashi-san too. Naruto nodded into shoulder, and the sobs slowed. Sasuke had to be right. After all, Kakashi had yelled at the mean villagers for him too. And Itachi loved Sasuke more than anything, so there was no way he'd just leave the two of them to scary guys like the masked man. Kakashi was growing more and more panicked as the second day wore on, and they still could not pick up the scent of either boy. While he refused to admit it out loud, time was running out, and the longer it took, the lower their chances became. Damn, Kakashi said softly, his fist clenching. Itachi saw this and moved up beside his captain. We'll find them, he said softly, Sharingan activated and scanning around actively. I won't stop until we do, Kakashi replied, equally soft. Itachi just nodded and fell back into formation. They had just reached one of the bridges out near the training grounds when Kakashi came to an abrupt halt, the ANBU stopping half a second later. It is your duty to Konoha, Danzo was saying, and Shursui was backing away, looking aggravated. I have no intention of getting involved in your massacre. Stay away from my clan, Shursui spit back, pulling a kunai. Kakashi had heard enough, and he appeared in front of Shursui, his team surrounding Danzo while Itachi stood beside him. What is the meaning of this, Danzo? Itachi asked before Kakashi could. Your clan has betrayed us. You cannot expect me to stand here and do nothing. The Uchihas have yet to openly oppose Konoha or the Hokage, so you should be careful with such accusations, Danzo-san, Kakashi said lazily, though he radiated danger. Seeing the man start to move, Kakashi added, you don't have nearly enough of your little drones nearby to help you if you try to attack. We won't hesitate. You may think you have the upper hand here, but I assure you it is only a temporary state, Danzo said before turning to limp away. Are you alright, Uchiha-san? Kakashi asked, turning to face Shursui. Thanks to you it seems, the older Uchiha said with a grin. I knew I didn't like you for a reason, Shursui. Itachi started only to be interrupted. I know. I'll behave myself. Thank you, ANBU-san. I will be returning home now, though I won't say anything until you are ready, Weasel, Shursui said with a wave. Itachi nodded in thanks, and then Shursui disappeared in a puff of smoke. Perhaps instead of looking for traces of the boys, we should just tail Danzo, Bird suggested tentatively. Or better yet, hunt down any places his scent is where it shouldn't be, Kakashi amended with a thoughtful tone. He quickly pushed his mask up and summoned his Niken. Once he had explained their job, he led them to Danzo and discreetly let them get his scent as he walked back into Konoha. A quick signal had his teams gathered to him once more, and he sent each team off with a dog, leaving a team to follow Danzo discreetly as well. With a renewed sense of purpose, Kakashi set off following his Niken as they sought out the man's scent. We need a plan, Sasuke said after they had both eaten. Naruto just looked at him questioningly. If Nissen isn't here yet, then maybe he's having trouble finding us. All we have to do is figure out how to give him a hint. Kakashi-san will have Pakin and the pack with him, so if they smell us they'll find us, Naruto said as he thought over what they could do. First thing we have to do is get out of here though, Sasuke pointed out, trying to keep both of them focused. While he was just as scared as Naruto, he knew his brother would come and until then he didn't want to see his friend so afraid. So he had put on the bravest face he could and tried to think of what his brother would do. Naruto nodded in response and walked the boundaries of the room, running his hand over the walls and looking at it as closely as possible. The wall looks like the rock on the Hokage mountain, he noticed, frowning. You sure? Positive. I used to go up there a lot when I was hiding, Naruto said, trying to scratch at the rock. It's completely solid too. Same with the floor, Sasuke said, though he had grabbed a bowl to do the scraping with. While the bowl was now scuffed and scratched, the floor was untouched. We can't fit through the bars though. They took our ninja pouches too, so we don't even have any weapons, Sasuke grumbled, and despite the direness of their situation Naruto grinned. It's not like you're that good at using them anyway, he teased half-heartedly. You're one to talk, Gaki, Sasuke retorted. Hey, you're the same age as me so you can't call me that, Naruto huffed, walking towards the bars and away from Sasuke. He opened his mouth to say something else but stopped as he got a better look outside their cage. Whoa, what is all that? Sasuke stood with a grunt and hobbled over to the bars. His leg burned but he ignored it and looked out, eyes going wide. Lying around the room were all sorts of strange things that neither boy had ever seen before. Plants growing in bottles and animals floating in colored liquids sat on shelves while a table near them held something else. Sasuke, is that? I don't know for sure but it looks like it, Sasuke replied with a gulp. But its arm doesn't have skin, Naruto whispered, the food in his stomach rolling dangerously. It isn't moving either, so it's probably already dead. And before you ask, I can't tell if it was a girl or boy and I don't care. Naruto noticed the greenish tint Sasuke was turning and nodded, swallowing hard again. Let's go think back on that side of the room. That thing is giving me the creeps. Without Sasuke saying a thing, Naruto slipped his shoulder under Sasuke's arm and helped the injured boy back to the far wall, well out of sight of the strange thing. We found them, Tenzo was finally able to tell Kakashi 3 days after the boys had disappeared. There is an old lab facility near the Hokage mountain and one of your dogs picked up both Sasuke and Naruto's scent. Summon everyone back in. We'll make our plans and then move out, Kakashi said, turning to Snake. Then he turned his gaze back to Cat. Did Danzo go there at all? The Niken picked up traces of his scent but nothing recent, so he likely hasn't been there since the boys were taken. That doesn't mean anything though, Kakashi mumbled to himself. He could have known we'd be onto him, especially after that incident with Shursui, so he's probably stayed away. There have been a few ninja going in and out that we've noticed, though none of them are ours, Tenzo added. They appear to all be root members, with a few unmasked jounin walking around. We're going to need help then, Kakashi said, running his hand through his hair as he thought. Get me Kurenai, Asuma, and Guy if they are in the village. Also send Weasel to see if the Hyuga will loan us a few members. I want to catch as many of them alive as possible. Cat nodded and took off in search of the appropriate people. Within half an hour he had returned with Kurenai and Asuma in tow, though Guy had been away on a mission. Weasel joined them less than 5 minutes later with 10 high-ranked Hyuga following him, led by Hayashi himself. Hyuga-san, Kakashi said, giving a deep bow. My thanks for coming to aid us. The clan owes ANBU a great debt, Hayashi said with a bow of his own. I heard of what happened, and my clan will not allow this. Kakashi nodded and then turned to the others assembled there. Many of the ANBU clung to the ceilings or walls to stay out of the way, and his medium-sized office now seemed a cave of black uniforms. The white kimonos of the Hyuga stood out in stark relief, and at the center of the chaos stood 2 other jounin next to Kakashi himself. Now that everyone is here, I will outline our attack strategy. The lab that was found once belonged to Orochimaru, and as such we have a detailed floor plan, Kakashi said, rolling the plans out on his desk. There are only 3 exits, 2 of which lead outside the village walls. Cat will be assigned to the exit nearest the gate, while Snake will lead her group from the other one. Kill anything that you meet when you begin moving in, but make sure to watch your back. Both ANBU captains nodded and quickly memorized the location of their points before stepping back. Each of them will have a team with them. The rest of you will come with me through the front. Weasel and Kurenai-san will lead as they are most skilled with genjutsu, followed closely by Rabbit and 3 of the Hyugas. Behind them will be myself and the other tracker Nin for the ANBU, and then the remaining Hyuga forces. Bear and his team will guard our backs until all enemies have been killed or captured, and the targets rescued. I will go in the first rank, along with Takuma-san and Ryuko-san. The others will follow, Hayashi said as Kakashi paused. He really brought the powerhouses with, Kakashi couldn't help but think. Takuma was thought to one of the most gifted Hyugas currently in service to Konoha, and Ryuko was quickly making a name for herself as matching him in strength. Since we don't know where the targets are being held, once inside each ANBU will pair off with a Hyuga to search. Try to take as many as you can alive, but do not risk yourself or your partner, Kakashi said, stressing safety as much as he could. Once we have the all clear, prisoners will be turned over to Bear to deliver to Tianai. Any questions? Yeah, what do we do if the shit hits the fan? One of the new ANBU muttered. Snake just turned to them and giggled. Kill the shit and the fan, of course. You have 2 hours to rest up and gather what you need. This is a short mission, but the amount of enemies is unknown, as is their skill level. They have at least some ANBU and some jounin level ninja on their side, so make sure you are prepared, Kakashi said, ignoring Enko and the ANBU. The ANBU disappeared, though the regular jounin and the Hyuga all stayed with Kakashi during the short rest period. Itachi stayed as well, and Kakashi knew it was rubbing the younger man to wait, even if he understood the purpose of it. I'm surprised the idiots haven't just handed them back with apology notes, Kurenai said, trying to lighten the mood. After the few hours I spent with them, I was ready to recommend them to Tianai. My living room still hasn't recovered, Kakashi drawled, trying to stuff away his nerves. Now that they finally had the scent, he wasn't going to screw things up by rushing. Cat had left clones to watch all of the entrances, and the boys' scents only came from the main path. He could almost guarantee they were still in there, and if they weren't, well, he'd have fun getting that information out of their captives. Naruto was pacing again as he watched Sasuke shiver and sweat at the same time. While time was impossible to track, Naruto was fairly certain Sasuke had been like that for longer than was good. It had started not long after the last time they'd been fed, and hadn't stopped. Sasuke, I'm still awake. Sasuke managed to get out, but his voice was weak and unsteady. You should rest, Naruto said, walking back over to him. He slipped his shirt off and laid it over Sasuke to try and warm him up. I'll keep watch. Sasuke just nodded and tried to get more comfortable. Naruto bit his lower lip and tried to figure out what to do. I wish Kakashi-san and Itachi and Ai-san would hurry up and get here. Sasuke looks like he's getting really sick, but the masked guys are scary and they might hurt him if I ask for help, Naruto couldn't help but think. Tears came to his eyes as he tried to push back the fear their captors inspired in him, but he couldn't manage it completely. As much as he hated to admit it, they terrified him. Unable to come up with any useful plan, Naruto leaned up next to Sasuke, allowing the other boy to use him as a pillow. All the while the same thought ran through his mind over and over, like a mantra. Kakashi, please hurry. Kakashi didn't bother with the dog mask this time, instead sticking to his armor and blade. His nerves sang with tension as each team reported in before stationing themselves for the assault. He briefly wondered if he should have told the Hokage, but discarded it as he had before. If nothing else, it would give the old man deniability just in case something went wrong. Ages crept by as Kakashi waited for Tenzo and Enko to signal that they were in position, and he forced himself to take a deep, steadying breath. We'll have the bastards soon enough, and then I can play with them all I want. While the official plan included all prisoners being turned over to TNI, the truth was they were being taken to an ANBU only holding area under Ibiki's watchful eye. And all sorts of accidents can happen when dealing with dangerous criminals. It will be interesting to see who breaks their victims first. Ibiki is supposed to be the best, but Anko can send anyone running. I should probably keep Itachi and myself away from them, at least until they give us what we want. His visible eye went cold as he contemplated his soon-to-be prisoners. Killing intent started radiating off of him, and the nearest members of his raiding party backed away. Only one stayed by his side, and he could feel the same anger leaking off of him. "This is Cat, we are in position," Tenzo's voice said suddenly. "Copy that, Cat." "We are still waiting on Snake for the go-ahead," Weasel responded for him. "Screw that," Anko's voice said, joining the conversation. "We're in position, so let's get this show on the road, kiddies. Like you're one to talk." "Last time I checked you were one of the babies too," Bear retorted. Now children, I know all of you are eager to play," Kakashi said, his voice playfully light yet full of potential. All of them quieted as he spoke, and he let the silence build. Then he said, "Commence operations." There was barely a whisper as the ninja took off in their battle teams, Itachi and Kurenai pulling ahead of the rest. The sentries didn't stand a chance and went down to Itachi's Sharingan without ever even seeing what was coming. As he reached the corridors, he slowed, waiting for the others to catch up. Kurenai stopped beside him, searching for traps or movement. As the Hayashi came up behind her, Kunai let loose, only to be blocked by a whirl of chakra from the Hyuga. "Thanks," Kurenai managed between throws. "My pleasure," Hayashi replied, blocking another volley of projectiles. The fight continued as pairs started breaking off the main group to search side hallways. Kakashi had his Sharingan activated and was plowing through enemies side by side with Itachi. Between the two of them, none could last more than a minute, and the enemy began to flee. Right into Cat and Snake, Kakashi thought with a sadistic grin. His grin vanished when he heard a shrill scream not far ahead of him. "We haven't gotten up there yet, which means..." Itachi heard the scream as well and quickly came to the same conclusion. Without even looking at each other, both took off down the hall as fast as they could, cutting down anything that got in their way. Kakashi reached the room first, and saw Naruto sitting in a cell made of stone, holding his hand out in front of him while screaming. Sasuke lay behind him, as if Naruto had tried to protect the other boy. Rage poured through Kakashi and he broke down the wall with an earth release. As he got close enough, he saw that Naruto was still staring at something he could not see. "Naruto!" When the boy still did not respond, Kakashi prayed it was only a genjutsu and gathered his chakra. "Don't let me be too late again." Kai. Naruto's body collapsed forward and Kakashi reached forward to catch him. Itachi was through the hole right behind his commander, his eyes going straight to his little brother's body. Emotion surged through him as he saw how still Sasuke lay. Guilt and pain racked him, and then the anger came and his vision clouded before become clearer than ever before. He felt his eyes sharpen and distantly noted that this must be the Mangekyo Shursui had told him about. "I'll kill whoever did this to Sasuke. I'll tear them apart, and then leave them to die in their own personal hell." A noise drew both of their attention, and a masked man stepped forward. "How good of you to join me," he said, cackling gleefully. "Are you the one that did this?" Itachi asked softly, keeping himself tightly controlled. "Well, I had some help, but it was my idea, along with so many others. It just worked out so well that not only will I get my revenge on the Uchiha, but on my old teammate too," Aito said, pulling his mask off. Kakashi's eyes widened as he saw a face that strangely mirrored his own. Abito's right eye still held its Sharingan, but the left was kept shut. "Abito, good to see you again, Kakashi," Aito said, his face twisting. "Well, not really. The only good part is that I can kill you now. After all, you're just a worthless piece of trash." "You didn't keep your word, Kakashi." Aito activated his Sharingan, and Kakashi could only stare at the teammate he had thought was dead. "Commander!" Itachi practically shouted while stepping in front of Kakashi with his own Mangekyo activated. "Get them out of here. He's an Uchiha, so I'll take care of him." Kakashi blinked as Itachi's words finally got through to him. With a nod, he picked up the two boys and shunshined them away, leaving Itachi to face Aito. Tenzo couldn't hold back a sigh as he took off into the tunnels. His team was fanned out behind him, with one keeping watch at the entrance. This is going to be tedious, Tenzo thought. Playing net always was though. When he had nearly reached the main tunnels, Tenzo stopped and began laying traps. Boar and Lion quickly began laying their own as well. Traps down, they waited patiently for the enemies to come to them. Hardly any time passed before Tenzo heard the scuffle of feet as they fled down the stone hall. How sloppy. Even when fleeing, one should always stay silent, Tenzo thought with disgust, watching as they ran straight into the traps. Better for them to end up with us here than face Kakashi or Itachi directly though, that's for sure. Tenzo wasn't sure why his commander was so attached to the boy, but all that mattered was Kakashi considered the boy one of his. And no one messes with what is ours. Anko was thinking much the same thing as her team got in position. People joked about the ties of ANBU, but one thing was true, it was death to any that betrayed them. That's only after we're done playing with them though. And at that point, they'll wish they hadn't even been born. Snakes burst from her arms, tripping up her opponents or wrapping them up entirely. During the brief lulls in fighting, her team would tie up the enemies with ninja wire and reset what traps they could. Some of her larger snakes were playing guard, and they shared their mistress' sense of humor. Any time their prisoners would start to struggle, they would slither up, wrapping themselves around them and licking them playfully. As the flow of enemies seemed to slow, she began moving forward. Her team formed a wedge and made their way to the rest of their raid. When the remaining ninja found snakes slithering towards them as well, most surrendered or decided to take their chances with the Hyuga behind them. I thought I had felt something odd around the clan grounds recently. If I had realized it was a traitor, I would have had you dealt with much sooner. You are a disgrace to our clan and our village. Ah, the clan? It's been a while since anyone has tried to talk to me about that, Aito said lightly. The clan is worthless, full of spineless cowards that have run from the truth since the founding of Konoha. Why should I care what they think? Regardless of your opinion of the clan, you were an Uchiha. Our place is to protect Konoha. If you hated the clan so much, you should have sought to better it, not betray it. Aito just laughed. How cute. You and ANBU are so naive as to believe that you can change something so easily. I never said it would be easy, but you took the cowardly way out and did not try, Itachi growled back. Sticks and stones, brat, sticks and stones. And we both know it isn't the clan that brought you here, Aito taunted back. That's true. You hurt my brother, and for that I'll make you wish you had died like you were supposed to, Itachi said as his Mangekyo started swirling. I have one of those too. Do you really think you can defeat another Sharingan user with the same set of tricks? Your Sharingan is weak, Itachi whispered. I will show you the true power of the Uchiha that you so easily forsook. Aito smiled confidently, activating his Sharingan a second later. However, when he charged, the smile disappeared. Itachi's, however, grew more sadistic. It's too late. You're already caught, and I'm going to make you suffer. But don't worry, I'll make sure you live. This way you can tell me everything I want to know. Abito's scream echoed through the halls, long and ragged, and then there was total silence. Take all of the prisoners to the containment hold, Bear ordered as ANBU began filing out along with the Hyuga. All injuries should be reported to Rabbit, and then the injured taken to the hospital. What about this one, boss? One of Ibiki's new team members asked, gesturing to the sightless Aito. Make sure he's put in a secure chakra sealing cell with a guard on him at all times. Weasel assures me he won't be waking up anytime soon, but better safe than sorry. Yes, sir. Link said, saluting before carrying the prisoner off. As Ibiki directed the chaos and gathered the information, he couldn't help but feel a little sorry for his prisoners. Kakashi and Itachi had headed straight for the hospital with two still bodies in their arms. And if the killing intent rolling off of them is anything to go by, once I'm done with the prisoners they won't be living much longer. No one who saw the pair could ever think of a time they had seen either ANBU so angry. Kakashi had stopped only long enough to give Ibiki the reins, with orders to clean up and gather all of the reports. He had also given strict orders that until Ibiki had all of the information he was not to bother Kakashi. He probably wouldn't mind if it were life or death, but even then I think I'd rather take my chances with the Hokage, whom I also get to turn in our report into now that I think about it. And I'd be willing to bet Kakashi didn't bother to inform the Hokage of our little mission beforehand either. With a sigh, Ibiki went back to gathering the reports. Orders were orders after all. Rabbit was about as happy as Bear when it came to gathering the reports on any wounded parties, but only because he was exhausted. His team had been searching for an entire shift when the call came in, and 2 hours to prepare gives you maybe an hour of sleep once everything else is finished, he thought with a sigh. They'd all been going on minimal amounts of sleep since the mission had started and his bed was calling. Snake would make fun of me if I said anything though, that's for sure. I think I'll stay at the clan house tonight. I haven't gotten to spend much time with Niji since I joined Kakashi's squad. His thoughts broke off as Ryuko Hyuga walked up to him. Any injuries for the Hyuga clan, Hyuga-san? Hizashi politely asked. Just minor scratches. No one requires medical attention, Ryuko replied just as politely. Please be sure to have the wounds checked for poison if they have not already. A few of the other wounded started noticing side effects belatedly, Hizashi added before she could walk away. Ryuko smiled but nodded. While his brother was unlikely to forget something like that, it still needed to be said. Also, if you could please inform Hayashi-sama that all reports are to be turned into ANBU Bear for the time being, I would greatly appreciate it. Did something happen to Hataki-san? Hayashi asked, coming up behind him. Kakashi-san is fine, however he is currently caring for the rescue targets. I am not sure of their conditions, but our commander left Bear in charge for the time being, Hizashi said. I will gather our reports and bring them to Bear later today then, Hayashi said, bowing to Rabbit, who bowed back. Thank you for your help today, Hizashi said as his brother turned to leave. It was our pleasure, Hayashi assured him with a smile. The rest of Hizashi's shift passed relatively quickly, and he spent much of his time thinking of his son and their clan. The clan's way of life was not easy, but the longer Hizashi served under Kakashi, the more he wondered if he was doing his child a disservice. The Uchiha are a great clan like ours, and yet they are tearing themselves apart from the inside. Perhaps our clan can be salvaged before it becomes like that if I speak with Hayashi. Kakashi and Itachi practically flew as they ran towards the hospital. A few ANBU had tried to intercept them, only to back away at the dangerous aura radiating off of them. "Don't get in my way," it warned. They strode into the emergency room and the nurse on duty looked up, saw the two children, noticed the look on Kakashi's face, and paged 2 doctors immediately. Other nurses noticed and swarmed to help, taking the children gently from the 2 ninja. "You can stay with them, but we'll need you to fill out these forms. We need to know if they have any allergies and the potential causes of their injuries," the duty nurse told them, placing clipboards in their hands. "Naruto had a genjutsu placed on him," Kakashi said, motioning to the blonde. "Sasuke appears to have been hit by a kunai, and the wound was not tended. Their conditions for the last 3 days are unknown." While Kakashi talked, Itachi wrote quickly, handing the clipboard back in record time. Kakashi followed suit, and then trailed behind the gurney they had put Naruto on like a lost puppy. When they took Naruto into an examination room, he placed himself in the corner, and stood guard as the nurses went to work. "Naruto." Kakashi's throat tightened as he prayed that he hadn't been too late. An hour later both boys were placed in a room together at Kakashi's request. Sasuke was hooked up to half a dozen machines, but there was a steady beep that filled the room, reassuring all of them he was still alive. Naruto only needed a saline drip, and Kakashi had been assured multiple times that physically he was fine. Mentally they would have to wait until he woke up. Itachi had taken up position by the window, while Kakashi watched from near the door. "I'll have one of our teams watching them at all times until they're out of the hospital," Kakashi said out of the blue. Itachi nodded and then glanced out the window. "We need to finish the cleanup before we can truly relax." "He won't get away," Kakashi growled. He hadn't forgotten about Danzo by any means. "We'll wither his foundation until all that's left is charred remains. Then we'll make him disappear. And if the council disapproves?" "The council? Why would we take a few minor house-cleaning problems to them? Surely they have more important things to do, like running the village," Kakashi said, his tone light. Itachi grinned and then realized he'd had his mask off the entire time. With a shocked look on his face, he raised his hand slowly, confirming that his mask was indeed gone. "Don't worry, you only took it off on the way here," Kakashi said with a wry grin. "I blame it on Naruto personally. Ever since he waltzed into my life, things turned upside down. It's only natural to rub off onto you and Sasuke." "Yeah, the brats do that to you," Itachi said after a moment. He relaxed slightly as his gaze turned to Sasuke and his face softened further. It had felt like his heart had stopped when he had seen how pale and still Sasuke had been. "Since when did you call them brats?" Kakashi asked with a grin. "Since they trashed my room last week when I was babysitting," Itachi retorted. "I told you not to let them near your kunai, blunted, wooden or otherwise. They can barely throw them straight at a target, yet they can hit nearly any breakable in a room without trying," Itachi said with a sigh. "How long did you leave them alone for?" "5 minutes tops. Father called me out to speak with me, but it was just to relay a message for the elders." Kakashi couldn't hold back a snort. Now that Naruto's life wasn't in immediate danger, he could easily see the humor in situations again. "Next time they're going to your house, so laugh all you want. We'll get Anko to babysit, I think," Kakashi said, leaning back against the wall. "Her snake should be able to keep them amused if nothing else." "You mean tied up and out of trouble?" "Same difference." The two fell into a companionable silence and resumed their watch. It would be a while before Kakashi would have them relieved, if only because neither of them had any intention of going anywhere. Might as well let the others rest until they absolutely had to go. The next morning Kakashi watched the sun rise and blinked wearily at it. As much as he hated to admit it, he was going to have to call in a team to watch Naruto while he slept. A glance over at Itachi told him that the other boy wasn't managing much better. "I'll get Snake in here with her team, and then sleep for both of us." "A shower too," Kakashi told him, leaving no room for argument. He summoned Pakken and sent the pug off to find Anko. As he waited he realized his eye kept drooping against his will. Anko appeared with her team in tow less than 15 minutes after Pakken had set out. "We'll keep watch, boss," she told him cheekily as she shooed the 2 boys out. "No visitors we don't trust. Kill anything that moves, I got it. Kakashi just waved his hand at her and took off for home, Itachi going with him until he came to the road that led to the Uchiha compound. With a nod, Itachi split off and headed for his own home. The house was quiet without Naruto in it, but Kakashi only vaguely noted it as he fell into his bed. He didn't even bother to get out of his gear before he was fast asleep. Kakashi wasn't sure how long he had been asleep, but something forced him awake. As he lay there trying to determine the intrusion, he realized someone was in the house. Without a sound he stood, grabbing a kunai as he crept towards the door. He listened carefully, and noted that it was coming from his office. He sniffed the air tentatively and then sighed, walking out into the hallway without bothering to conceal his presence. "Bear, this better be good," Kakashi said from the doorway. "I was just leaving the reports, Commander." "Sorry about waking you," Ibiki said with a tired grin. "Have you slept yet?" Kakashi asked, noticing the exhaustion in his voice. "Not yet. I reported into the Hokage like you asked and then finished gathering the reports. They're all sorted and ready for you to go get some sleep, Bear. You can fill me in later at the hospital. I'll take these with me." "What time is it anyway?" "Nearly noon." "Alright, then I don't want to see you at the hospital until after 8 p.m. tonight. In fact, make it tomorrow morning. Good job yesterday and today. Ibiki saluted and slipped out the window, more than ready to find his own bed. Kakashi considered returning to his, but 6 hours was more than enough to function on, and he wanted to be back at the hospital when Naruto woke up. With that in mind, he grabbed a quick shower, forced some semblance of food down, and then returned to the hospital. Enko saluted him cheerily as he walked in, and once more he flapped his hand at her dismissively. Any problems? None, although the Hokage stopped by. He said to let you know the two of you would be having a nice long chat in the near future. Oh, and I might have told Sasuke's parents they weren't allowed in. What? Kidding, Enko said with a giggle. I just told them they weren't allowed in here alone is all. For the boy's safety and such. Snake, Kakashi warned. Alright, I'll behave. Geez, you're so grumpy when you're tired. Well, anyway, either boy has woken up yet. Send one of your team to get cats and then you guys can go home, Kakashi said as he pulled out the first report to read. I'll be rotating you guys for guard duty until our main objective is finished. Understood. Kakashi felt one of the ANBU slip away and then set himself to the paperwork. Itachi was back at the hospital shortly after one with a report scroll in hand. Kakashi pointed to the pile next to him without looking up and kept reading. How are things looking? We took almost all of them alive. None of our ninja were seriously injured and the objective was completed. Bear interrogated over half of them last night, and all of them had the same seal on their tongue that didn't allow them to speak about what we wanted to know. And the boys? The doctors report that both are stable, but neither has woken up yet, Kakashi said softly. However, the nurse said that is not unusual, and not to expect them to wake up until tomorrow at the earliest. I think she more of meant not to worry if they don't wake up until then, but we might have intimidated them a little. Itachi nodded and took a seat next to Sasuke's bed. Neither paid much attention as Cat's team traded with Rabbit's, though they both dozed a little as Itachi's team took watch. Bear's team walked in around 6 a.m., and Kakashi began going over the newest reports from Ibiki. I see you were busy last night, Kakashi said, his visible eye smiling with sadistic pleasure as he read. All seals can be removed one way or another, Ibiki replied with a shrug. It probably helped that a certain ninja was in town, and when I explained the problem, he was happy to help. Didn't stick around long enough for me to thank him though. He's like that, Kakashi said, taking a guess at the certain ninja that aided Ibiki. Chances are he had a date with the hot springs he didn't want to miss. With all of the information he would need gathered, Kakashi began writing his own report. While he hated writing reports, at least it was a distraction from the anxiety gnawing at his gut. Shortly before lunch, Sasuke finally woke up. Itachi moved quickly as the younger boy started thrashing around in confusion. Sasuke, it's all right, Itachi said, holding the younger boy still to keep him from hurting himself. You're safe now, but I need you to calm down. It took a few minutes, but Itachi's voice finally got through to the groggy 5-year-old. He let go and sat back to watch as the boy blinked at him. Nisan, I'm right here. You're all right, no. Itachi was cut off as Sasuke latched himself onto his brother in a death grip. What took you so long, Baka and Ai-san? It was cold and scary, and food they fed us was really gross, Sasuke cried into Itachi's shirt. I'm sorry, Oturo, Itachi said, slipping one arm gently behind the boy while the other kept petting his head. Next time we won't let them get you at all. You better not, came Sasuke's muffled reply. Baka and Ai-san. Hi, Itachi said with a smile, though he could feel the amazed stares of Bear's ANBU team. Had anyone else yelled at him like that, they would have found themselves with nightmares for life. But this was his little brother, and he had made a mistake in leaving him unguarded. As the sniffles died down, Itachi tried to put Sasuke back down, but the smaller boy refused to let go. With a long-suffering sigh, Itachi shifted the two of them until he was leaning up against the head of the bed with Sasuke cuddled against him. Kakashi didn't even try to hide his snicker as Itachi muttered about stubborn children and stupid hospital cords. Sasuke, you still awake? I know it was scary, but I need you to tell us what happened. Don't wanna, Sasuke grumbled, clinging even tighter to Itachi's shirt. You said you want to be a ninja, and this is part of it. You have to give your report, Otsuro, Itachi chided gently. Sasuke didn't say anything at first, and Kakashi wondered if he wasn't going to at all. We were walking home from school, Sasuke said suddenly. Kakashi-san had left Bull and Akino with us, and we were playing with Akino while Bull kept watch. At the stand of trees near the bridge, Akino suddenly started growling and two ninjas wearing Konoha headbands jumped down from the trees. Bull attacked one but got thrown into a tree pretty hard. Akino took a kunai to the side while trying to keep the second one away, Sasuke said, turning to look at Kakashi in panic. Is Akino okay? He'll be fine, as will Bull. They were more upset about not being able to protect you, Kakashi said firmly. Good, Sasuke said in relief. Itachi nudged him and Sasuke continued, though he stuck out his tongue at Itachi first. Well, I grabbed one of the kunai to throw back, but I missed. Naruto kicked the first one really hard in the knee, and the ninja said a lot of bad words before hitting Naruto on the head. Akino went for the one that was trying to grab me, but the first one threw a kunai at him. I tried to push him out of the way, but I wasn't fast enough and it hit me instead. At this, Sasuke flushed. After all, his Nai-kun had probably never taken a kunai from being too slow. That was very brave of you, Kakashi said with a sigh. Next time leave the flying kunai to the Nikendo. They know how to get out of the way. We'll make sure you're fast enough for next time too, Itachi said dryly, already planning a stricter training regime for his little brother. It seemed that he couldn't stay out of trouble, which meant Itachi's only choice was to better prepare him for it. What happened next? Well, I think the ninja came up behind me, but I don't really remember much. When I woke up after that, Naruto and I were in a really dark room with bars on one wall. We tried to figure out how to get out, but the floors and walls were too hard to dig through. Plus the holes between the bars were really tiny, so not even Naruto could fit through them, Sasuke said grumpily. They fed us a couple of times, but it was really icky food. Even Naruto wouldn't eat some of it, and he eats everything. It was really cold in there too. Did they say anything to you? Not really. I slept a lot, so I don't remember a whole lot. Naruto was awake more, so you should ask him. He really didn't seem to like one of the guys. Said he was really creepy, Sasuke said. Where is Naruto anyway? Sleeping next to you, Baka, Itachi replied, turning so Sasuke could see him. But why isn't he awake? We don't know, but I'm sure he'll wake up soon, Itachi said with a sigh, hoping he was right. His commander didn't look like he could take the strain much longer. The Hokage stopped him before dinner, took one look at Kakashi's face and the still form of Naruto, and turned right back around, saying he'd be back the next day. Kakashi just nodded, stopping him only to hand in the completed report scroll. Sarutobi laid his hand on Kakashi's shoulder in support, and then wandered back out of the hospital. Cat Squad was back on guard duty when Naruto finally woke up. Kakashi had been dozing again next to the bed when he began to hear whimpers. His eyes flew open and he saw Naruto pushing himself as far up against the headrest as he could go, and his wide eyes were almost vacant as they saw something other than reality. Kakashi signaled to Itachi to come over and moved very slowly towards Naruto. Naruto-kun, can you hear me? Kakashi said softly. Naruto. When he got no response, he tried gently touching the boy, but that only caused the whimpers to grow worse, so Kakashi pulled his hand back immediately. He's still caught in a Sharingan genjutsu, Itachi said with a frown, activating his eyes. Can you free him? It's dangerous, but I should be able to. The problem is he doesn't know how to protect his mind yet. I've never seen one last this long either, Itachi replied. The whimpers grew louder and Kakashi could tell they would soon be screams. Do it. Itachi's Sharingan morphed into the Mangekyo form and Kakashi felt his chakra activate. Then Naruto was blinking and crying and Kakashi found himself with an armful of the blonde boy. Kakashi silently thanked Itachi as he let the blonde cry himself out. Relief flooded through him as he realized the boy would be alright now. Whatever Aito had done, Kakashi was sure he could find a way to undo, just so long as Naruto was still alive. As he hugged Naruto closer to him, he felt an odd wetness on his mask. I'm crying, he thought with a grimace. I'm the great copy ninja, scourge of the ANBU world, and yet here I am crying out of relief over a 4-year-old brat. The ANBU around him pretended not to see a thing as Naruto cried himself out, and fell asleep clinging tightly to Kakashi. Kakashi considered tucking him back in by himself, but for once he decided not to care and curled up next to Naruto on the bed. Kakashi woke up feeling sore and yet content at the same time. As he opened his eye, a gentle smile settled on his face. That's right. I got the brat back. Maybe now I can get a decent night's sleep. Almost unconsciously he began running his hand through the blonde's hair, as his mind finally refocused on the rest of his mission. Ibiki finished interrogating the root members, though Danzo should be secure in his belief that nothing will lead to him, so there is no rush there. However, Aito needs to be dealt with. I don't like the idea of leaving Naruto or Sasuke alone for that though. Maybe 2 teams of ANBU and a few Jounin will be enough. Mind made up, Kakashi looked around and found his captain for the current shift. Rabbit, how long has your team been on duty? Only a few hours, Commander, Hisashi replied quietly. Send one of your team members to fetch Snake and her team, and one to fetch Bear and his team, Kakashi said, turning back to Naruto. The boy still clung to him, and he was reluctant to pull him away. Until the teams get here is fine. While waiting, Kakashi glanced over to see Itachi still dozing next to Sasuke's bed. With a grin, Kakashi sat up, pulling Naruto into his lap. Then he pulled out a small coin and flicked it at the younger boy. Itachi jerked awake, catching the projectile before it had flown over Sasuke's bed. Commander, Itachi grumbled, giving him a glare that promised death. It might have been more intimidating if the young ANBU hadn't looked like a raccoon just roused from bed. We have work to do, Kakashi said lightly. If we keep slacking off, the other teams are going to slack too, and then I'll have to retrain everyone. Kakashi grinned again as Itachi came as close to pouting as the boy ever did. Grumpy is a better adjective. He's had as little sleep as me these past few days. This part should perk him up at least. Kakashi hadn't realized how the silence had stretched until Itachi interrupted his thoughts. What is our first target? I thought we'd have a nice visit with our guest, Kakashi said, his face turning more serious as he thought of Aito. I can take care of him, Itachi offered quietly. He had seen the look on his commander's face when Aito had revealed himself, and it worried him. Something had seemed to almost break inside of his eyes. No, I will handle it. I have other work for you, Kakashi said, taking a deep breath. It was rare for him to feel so conflicted, but he knew what had to be done. If it truly was Aito, And he was fairly certain it was, then he would have to pay for kidnapping Naruto. And if he had truly betrayed Konoha, then he would die for it. He attacked my brother. I demand to be a part of this, Itachi hissed back. Kakashi gave him a bland look and started to open his mouth to reply. If you dare say I'm not objective enough, I will shove a kunai somewhere you'll never get it out of. You're less objective than I am. I wasn't going to say that, Kakashi sighed. However, as you pointed out, I do have a history with our guest, and I owe it to him to handle this myself, and I have my own reasons. Fine, beat me at Jan Kenpa and I'll let you come along, Kakashi said after a moment of thought. Very well, Itachi said, activating his Sharingan. That won't help you, Kakashi said with a chuckle, revealing his own Jan Kenpa. The two ninja moved so fast that even the other ANBU had trouble following it, but when they stopped, both ninja were holding their fists out closed. Again. Jan Kenpa. They were still at it when Snake's team arrived 20 minutes later. What the hell are they doing? Anko asked, turning to Rabbit. Playing Jan Kenpa, Hisashi deadpanned. Obviously, moron. Why? Apparently Itachi must beat the commander if he wants to be allowed along on the interrogation of a certain prisoner, Rabbit said. No, I want a piece of him, Itachi said without looking at them. By the way, what do I get if I lose? You can have the other one, Kakashi retorted, taking advantage of Itachi's distraction to finally win. I will be overseeing that particular conversation though. Fair's fair, I get to watch yours then. Insubordinate whelp, Kakashi muttered, but did not tell him no. Bear arrived not long after that, and Kakashi sent the still sleeping Naruto a worried glance before telling himself that he would be fine. Rabbit, have a few more jounin in here at least, just to be safe, Kakashi said as he walked out, not even waiting for Hisashi to give his confirmation. Kakashi followed Ibiki to the holding pens and he couldn't keep his insides from twisting into knots. Outwardly his face was totally calm, giving away no sign of emotion at all. Obito. Ibiki finally stopped in front of a cell, looking in. This one is. Kakashi gave Ibiki an odd look as the TNI specialist's voice trailed off. He watched as Ibiki checked the number on the paper, then the door, and then the paper again. This is supposed to be it, Ibiki said softly. No one is in there though. Don't open it yet, Kakashi said, pulling up his Hitite and scanning the room with his Sharingan. Itachi followed suit, and the two of them checked every corner of the room. Where is he? Itachi asked, his voice in awe. He should have just woken up yesterday at the earliest. Send for Rabbit, Kakashi said, his eyes already flicking around the rest of the compound. Then get your team to do a head count. Commander, may I send for Shursui as well? His eyes are stronger than mine, and he was the one who taught me to awaken the Mangekyo. If this is a trick of the Sharingan, he will find it, Itachi said quietly. Do it. Ibiki wasted no time in sending two messengers off while the three shinobi scoured the room without entering. They tried genjutsu releases, and anything else they could think of that would explain the lack of prisoner. Less than 10 minutes had passed when Rabbit escorted Shursui in personally. Kakashi quickly filled them in and both ninja activated their eyes. Nothing at all, Commander, Rabbit said, and Kakashi could hear his frown from behind the mask. I don't see anything either, Shursui said and let his eyes return to normal. My knee can confirm someone was in there, but that the sen has dissipated enough that no one has been in there for a couple days. That shouldn't be possible, even if he had a Sharingan, Itachi said, frowning. I know I caught him in the genjutsu. He collapsed. He could have been faking it, Shursui pointed out. You just said he had a Sharingan, right? Yes, but it was only in the Tomo form. Unless it was you that was caught in the genjutsu, Shursui said gently. It's possible, cousin, that his eyes were stronger than yours. If that is the case, then we have a problem, Kakashi said, joining back in the conversation. Are we agreed that we can open the cell? With caution, Commander, Ibiki added instantly. Of course. This said with an off-handed flap of Kakashi's hand. Itachi and Shursui nodded, followed by a reluctant Hisashi. I'll check it then, Hisashi said, stepping forward. He activated his Byakugan, searching out any chakra sources he could, but finding none. Ibiki unlocked the cell and stepped back, allowing the ANBU in. Outside the cell, Kakashi had a kunai out, eyes darting around. Itachi followed his lead while Shursui kept watch on the cell itself, all Sharingan activated once more. It's clear, Hisashi finally said, walking out of the cell carrying a piece of paper in his hand. This was in there for you though. Kakashi took the letter, and saw that it was indeed addressed to him. Giving it a once-over with the Sharingan, he opened it and began reading. Kakashi, while I would love to have enjoyed your hospitality longer, I'm afraid some business came up. I hope you don't mind. But don't worry, we'll finish our conversation another time, after I've taken care of that brat you decided to take in. Until next time, Toby. P.S. Tell that Uchiha brat that it'll be years before his eyes can best mine. It seems Obito is calling himself Toby these days, Kakashi said, half to himself. Obito? As in the Obito, the one you received your Sharingan from? Shursui couldn't help but ask. Unfortunately, Kakashi said, fighting to keep his voice nonchalant. If his old teammate could waltz out of an ANBU compound without even running into a single person or leaving a body behind, then nowhere was safe. Itachi picked up on his commander's train of thoughts and frowned. We need to hurry our other plans forward, and then train, the younger ANBU said, gut clenching. Agreed. In fact, we'll start now. Rabbit, I'm sorry to keep you running around, but I need you to find the Hokage and get me an appointment immediately. Send a runner the instant he can see me, Kakashi said, putting aside all thoughts of Obito, and turning his mind to Danzo. We don't want to act with haste, but we're going to need all the time we can to get stronger. The last traitor needs to be dealt with now, and arrangements with the Uchiha clan must be worked out. What will you do if the clan does not listen? Shursui asked as Rabbit darted away faster than his namesake. Kill those who won't and put those who will in power if we must, though I would prefer to avoid that, Kakashi said grimly. If that person comes back, we cannot afford to be divided, and we cannot afford any weaknesses. I will do what I can to guide the elders, Shursui said, his shoulders sagging. I am not sure how much any of us can achieve. Actually, we have a plan for that, Itachi said with a small grin. After all, Mother is technically the heir, and I think she hates what they are doing as much as we do. All we need to do is put her in power then, and replace a few elders, Shursui said after a moment, his face thoughtful. Exactly, though the elders are optional. Mother was quite the kunoichi in her day. I doubt she would need any help ignoring the opposition. Shursui's face broke into a true smile as he realized Itachi was right. While Mikoto Uchiha was a housewife now, that was only by personal choice. Even Fugaku bowed to her will when she exerted it. Kakashi couldn't bring himself to share their optimism. Dread hung heavily in his gut, and guilt swirled with it. He knew it truly was a matter of when, not if, Obito would be back. Can we really get stronger that fast? And can I do what is necessary? Doubt plagued him, and that scared him. If he couldn't act decisively, he was dead. That was all there was to it. But even as he contemplated his death, Naruto's face came to mind. I can't die. Naruto needs me alive. He doesn't have anyone else, and he shouldn't have to face the pain I did. His panic settled and the doubt receded to the back a small corner of his mind. While he still wasn't sure if he could follow through with it, his decision was made, and he had until Obito came back to make his heart accept it. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. That's what you told me, Obito, and I realized that I've failed along the way. I couldn't protect Rin, couldn't protect Sensei or even you. But I'm going to try again, and this time I won't fail. I will protect Naruto. Kakashi found himself standing before the Hokage less than half an hour later. He was not looking forward to giving this particular report even if he did have some good news. So I hear it has been a busy few days, Sarutobi said with a wry grin. A little, Kakashi said, rubbing the back of his head and giving a little grin of his own. Then he stood up a little straighter, and the smile disappeared. After Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki were kidnapped, the ANBU were immediately dispatched to find them. A 3-day search ensued before the two were finally found. Their location was an abandoned lab in the stone near the Hokage mountain that once belonged to Orochimaru. How did you find them? Sarutobi had watched Kakashi push his team harder than ever during the search, but it had seemed so futile. Some previous intel we had gathered possibly implicated another ninja in the matter we were investigating. Due to that we tracked the boys' scents via the other ninja's scent. I see. And what did you find? The boys were being held by ninja wearing ANBU masks not registered to Konoha who all had one thing in common. Kakashi paused here but then continued on. All of them had a seal on their tongue that prevented them from speaking of two things, Root and Danzo. We captured as many of them as we could and interrogated all of them, but at first we learned very little. As luck would have it, Ibiki was able to speak to a sealing master who found a way to remove it. Jiraiya was in Konoha? Sarutobi asked with a sigh. He had been trying to get his wandering student to come back for a while now, but with no luck. I am unsure where Ibiki found him, but when the situation was explained, it seems Jiraiya-sama was happy to help, Kakashi replied. Naruto-kun is his godchild, even if he has never actually introduced himself to the child yet. I'm sure that has something to do with it. Hopefully he'll even remember to come see me before he leaves once more, the Hokage said. Kakashi could hear the exasperation dripping in the Hokage's voice and decided it would probably be a good idea to move on. As I said, we captured most of them, including the ones who had been responsible for the kidnapping itself. Danzo was identified as the one behind the one who gave the order. I see. He will have to be reprimanded. I am afraid that is not all, Hokage-sama. Danzo has had his hand in more than mere kidnapping. This made the Hokage look up, and the hard look in Kakashi's eye caused a heavy weight to settle over Sarutobi's heart. Danzo has always acted with Konoha's interest at heart. He was instigating rebellion among the Uchiha. Are you sure? Perhaps he was trying to stem it. Sarutobi couldn't help but try to defend his old teammate and friend. After the seals were removed, the captured Nin admitted to starting various incidents over the past 2 years, all on his direct orders, Kakashi said, allowing no give in his voice. He also tried to attack Shursui Uchiha to who knows what end. I am sorry, Hokage-sama, but there is no way that can be in the village's favor. Sarutobi closed his eyes, allowing his head to fall, and Kakashi saw how tired the Hokage felt. I am sorry, sir, but I have already sent Itachi Uchiha and a squad to do what is necessary. They will capture Danzo, and then Ibiki and Itachi will interrogate him. If he resists, he will be killed, Kakashi said, looking at his Hokage with an unflinching gaze. And if he is guilty of as much as we think he is, Then we will execute the appropriate sentence. Sarutobi nodded, knowing that this was the only course of action they had. The village had to come first, no matter what. Inform me of what you find and the final results. Of course, Kakashi said, giving the Hokage a sharp nod. As much as he wanted to stop there and leave the older man in peace, he still had one last thing. There was one complication that came up during the raid. He started out hesitantly. A shinobi that was thought dead was found in the lab aiding the root members. However, he managed to escape from Ibiki's custody. Someone escaped? Now Sarutobi looked alarmed and Kakashi felt even worse over his failure. Obito Uchiha somehow escaped from the ANBU prison compound. We know he was captured as his scent is in the cell, however it was at least a few days old. He left a message for me specifically, Kakashi said as he handed over the note. As far as we can tell there were no traps on it, and the cell was left untouched as well. How can that be possible? I do not know, sir, but I am positive it was Obito. He spoke of something only my team would have had any knowledge of, Kakashi said, his one eye closing as he tried to keep back painful memories. How much time do you think we have? Again, I do not know. Once we have straightened out the mess with Root and the Uchiha, I intend to start ramping up the training for the ANBU for sure. I would like to also suggest we do the same for all of the ninja of Jounin or special Jounin rank. Kakashi, I believe it would be better for me to handle the Uchiha, sir. With all due respect, you assigned this mission to me, and we cannot afford to be gentle about it. Do not forget your place, the Hokage warned, his eyes flashing. Kakashi couldn't help but stand straighter at the rebuke, and he remembered some of the stories Minato had used to tell that he had learned from Jiraiya. He wasn't called the god of shinobi for nothing, even if we know him as the professor now. Seeing that his point was made, the Hokage sat back and let off the pressure. I will handle the Uchiha. When Ibiki turned in his report, he also included what you and Itachi had planned to fix the situation. I believe they will swallow the pill better if it comes from me rather than from an unknown ANBU commander. It will be handled within the week. In that time I expect you to take care of your original mission and then begin your training. Kakashi saluted and made to leave. However, Sarutobi's voice stopped him before he could. Keep Naruto under a very close guard, Kakashi. Even if Obito didn't manage to kill him, he could easily awaken the Nine Tails. I will keep at least one team of ANBU on guard duty at all times. Outside of school, either myself or another Jounin will be with him as well, Kakashi said, giving a short salute and then shining away. Itachi was waiting for him, and gave him a satisfied nod at his unspoken question. Kakashi took off towards the ANBU holding cells and the rest of Itachi's squad fell in behind him. Ibiki was waiting for them with a full squad of ANBU standing guard around Danzo. What is the meaning of this, Hitaki? Danzo asked dangerously. We have evidence of your involvement not only with the kidnapping of Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki, but also the incitement of a coup d'etat among the Uchiha clan. Kakashi watched him carefully as he leaned up against one of the tables in the room. Do you want to explain that, Danzo Shimura? There is no proof of anything, Danzo said confidently. And I am sure the Hokage would agree. I'm afraid you are wrong on both counts. You see, I just spoke with the Hokage, and this mission has already been cleared for completion. So if I were you, I would start talking now, and just maybe we'll give you an easy death instead of what you deserve. I refuse to tell you upstarts anything, Danzo practically spat. Very well, Kakashi said with a shrug. Ibiki, Itachi, he's all yours. Kakashi stood back as Itachi grinned, activating his Sharingan. At first Danzo didn't say anything, but eventually grunts slipped past his clenched teeth. Ibiki was content to watch until Danzo's eyes finally opened and he sagged against the restraints. Care to talk to me now, Danzo-san? Unlike Itachi, I'm far more objective about my work and I think you'll find my techniques to be much more effective. Danzo merely attempted to spit in Ibiki's face. Ibiki grinned, and Kakashi was extremely glad he was not on the receiving end of that small smile. Ibiki's hands flashed through a series of signs and Danzo's eyes widened at what he saw. Kakashi and Itachi watched with interest as the stoic Danzo began looking around fearfully, flinching at spectral hits. When Ibiki finally released the technique, Danzo slumped forward and didn't look up this time. We're getting there, but he has a strong mind. This could take a while, Ibiki warned Kakashi even as he motioned Itachi forward. His Sharingan activated, and he yanked Danzo's head up by his hair, forcing him to look into Itachi's eyes as the tomo swirled. Though it took a few hours, Danzo broke as Ibiki said he would between the Sharingan and Ibiki's own techniques. Ibiki was able to access his memories directly and draw out the information they sought. The depth of Danzo's betrayal stunned them all. He had been in contact with Orochimaru the entire time, feeding him information. And when Tobi had arrived with a plan to remove the Uchiha, Danzo hadn't even hesitated. Ibiki had also searched out the information en route, and even Kakashi paled at what had been done to the children Danzo had taken under his wing. It made much of ANBU's training look like a picnic in the park. When they finally had everything they wanted, Itachi turned back to Kakashi. For betraying the village, your punishment is death, Kakashi said, his eye cold and hard. You will not be lauded as a hero, nor will you even be given a burial within our walls. Your name will become a warning to those that reach beyond their place out of a misplaced sense of entitlement. People's lives are not merely toys for you to play with. Danzo barely twitched as Kakashi spoke, and said nothing as Itachi drew a kunai from his pouch. In one quick movement, he slit Danzo's throat and then drove the kunai through his heart to ensure death. Send out a notice to all ANBU. Once their current missions are completed, they are to remain within Konoha. 1 week from today I will speak with all of them, Kakashi said, feeling his energy suddenly draining. Will it be alright to stop accepting missions like that? Itachi couldn't help but ask. If they are short-term missions, I will still send them out, but otherwise I want everyone here for what I have to say. What did you want me to do with the root members we captured? Ibiki asked, following Kakashi as the commander walked out. Give them a choice. They can follow me, and the Hokage, or they can stay as prisoners until we are sure they will not defect. Danzo is dead and they are free of his rule, but I cannot let ninja of their level turn into missing nin. Unfortunately, I do not have the manpower to merely put them under watch, so until the situation with Toby is dealt with, those are their only choices. What if they refuse completely or attempt to retaliate for their leader's death? Kill them and then dispose of the bodies. I will find out their decision before the meeting then. Kakashi gave a tired nod and then took off for the hospital. If all had gone well, Naruto would be awake and maybe Kakashi would find some answers there. Naruto was awake when he got there, and Kakashi was amused to see he was chatting awake with Snake and her team. And then Iruka-sensei threw his kunai at the shuriken and pinned it down. It was so cool, Naruto said, pausing as he noticed Kakashi standing in the doorway. He nearly shot up out of the bed, only to have Kakashi push him back down. Naruto, when you are in the hospital, you need to stay in bed, he explained patiently, but I've been waiting for you. Where were you? Snake-sen said you would be back soon, but that was forever ago, the blonde whined. He couldn't have been too traumatized if he's already this hyper, Kakashi thought with relief. Sorry Naruto-kun. I had work for the Hokage to do. Oh. Well, I guess that's alright then. Hey Kakashi and Ai-san, can we have ramen for lunch? I'm really hungry and the hospital food was gross. Sure. I'm fairly certain we can sneak some in for you. Kakashi grinned as he felt one of Anko's team slip away to get the ramen before he had even given the order. While we wait for it to get here, we need to talk though. Naruto stilled as his hands clenched at the bedspread. So he was just faking it. He's pretty good at lying with a smile for a 4-year-old. I'll have to make sure to keep a close eye on him then. With a sigh, Kakashi sat down on the bed next to him and placed his arm around the boy. Minato had done the same for him after his father had died, so he hoped it would give the smaller blonde comfort now. I know you probably just want to forget, but we need to know as much as possible to protect you and Sasuke in case it happens again. Okay. Naruto's voice was soft and Kakashi could hear the fear in it. Why don't you start with what happened after school that day? Sasuke and I walked home with Bull and Akino like you said to. We were playing along the way when Akino started growling and getting mad. Then these two guys jumped down from the trees. Bull charged straight at the bigger one, but he threw Bull into a tree, so I ran up and kicked him. He said a lot of words you said we weren't supposed to say, and then I don't really remember, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. Kakashi had to bite back another sigh. Trust Naruto to run in head first and not pay attention to anything else. What's the next thing you do remember? Well, I woke up with a headache, and it was really dark and Sasuke wouldn't wake up, Naruto said as his face scrunched up. I think I fell back asleep because the next thing I can remember is a loud noise waking me up again. There was a really scary guy who wore an orange swirled mask. Kakashi could feel Naruto begin to shake and he pulled the boy fully into his lap. One hand ran gently up and down Naruto's arm while the other ran through his hair. It's alright Naruto. I'm right here and he isn't. He just looked at me but I couldn't breathe. He hated me, more than any of the villagers or anyone. He made fun of me when I started crying, saying if you raised me then I should have had more of a backbone, Naruto said through tears and sniffles. Kakashi tightened his arms in a hug before loosening them again. Naruto, I need you to tell me what else he said or did. He said he wouldn't kill us yet, and that he would make us eat if we didn't. I don't remember anything else. He left us alone a lot. The only times I saw him was when he brought food. Naruto now had his face buried in Kakashi's shirt, and Kakashi sighed. While he wanted to try to get a little more information, chances were the blonde wasn't going to be of any more help. Not to mention I feel guilty even asking him about it in the first place. It's alright. That helps us. If you remember anything else, make sure you tell me okay. Okay, Naruto replied, sniffling again and refusing to let go of Kakashi. Nah, Naruto. Do you remember what you were dreaming of when you woke up yesterday? Kakashi asked when he